Кто ты по профессии, блядь? О, сука, блядь. Иди нахуй. Волон, сука. Alright, here we go. And how the fuck do I take off my loading screen again? Oh, I'm a bit wonky. Hang on a minute. Oh, let me unwonkify myself. Nope. Oh god, am I? Which? Boop, 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 boop. Woo! Washing machine. Washing machine. I think that's upright, isn't it? I don't know. Good enough. Hello, everybody. Gentlemen. Thank you very much for resubscribing, Wolf of Wings. How you doing, my buddy? Good to see you very much, my friend. This accent is cringe. What accent are you talking about, Frollo? What on earth are you going on about? This is my normal voice. My angles are really bothering me now. Am I... How the fuck... Why am I wonky? Hang on. We have to sort... I don't know, we'll leave it at this. This is good enough. Why the fuck am I wonky? Thank you very much for the membership, Wolf and Wings. Good to see you, buddy. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I am not furry. I'm a big, strong, burly man. I'm not a monkey. I'm a big, strong, proud lion. Spin me right round, Morley, right round. Hello, my friends. Today, we're going to get into a very juicy topic, okay? We're going to get a bit political today. I'm going to go on a bit of a rant. I have to be careful not to attract the ire of the British police. We're going to be talking about why I think Reddit is unironically a global security crisis, you see. So I was trying to get a whole proper presentation plan for today's stream. Unfortunately, it's been one hell of a messy week. I'm really tired and I've just been too busy to get the presentation done. So you're just gonna see me wobbling around on my little loading screen here, or whilst I tell you about why Reddit is unironically evil. Okay, so let's get stuck. Hey, GD, how's it going, buddy? You go, girl. You know that lions are douchebag animals, like you can't find more assholery douchebags than male lions. I know, that's why I picked the lion character, silly. Hi, Mr. Krabs. No worries, buddy. I'll have a nice stream. You have a good evening, my friend. Take care, buddy. Okay, so gentlemen, let's get stuck into it. He's Philly. Did you see that flip? Okay. So before I get into, I guess, the meat and potatoes of today's stream, you'll probably be wanting to know what of all the social media applications and of everything out there on the internet, why am I picking on Reddit specifically and not picking on stuff like Facebook or Twitter? Hey, Darth Likes Music, good to see you, buddy. So, Reddit is just a bunch of poor Air Force guys who got told to make engagement posts instead of flying cool jets. That you kind of hit a little bit. You've kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit there about some of the stuff I'm going into. Lions are one of the heraldic animals of Great Britain. You're absolutely right, Tempest. That's exactly it. So the reason why I'm picking on Reddit in particular, okay, is it's because Reddit is the front page of the internet, and it's rapidly becoming, I guess, a replacement of Google for many people. And at the moment, statistics say that approximately 62% of millennials get all their information from social media, and that's not specifically Reddit, just generally speaking, about 62% of the millennial generation, who are becoming the biggest voting bloc once the boomers and the silent generation die away, are getting that information from sites like Reddit, Twitter, and sometimes Facebook, right? So Reddit is a social media platform that is supposed to be for the discussion of legal subjects. But the problem with Reddit is that by its very nature, Reddit promotes, I guess, what you would call cyber balkanization, which isn't helped by the fact that Reddit is unashamedly moderated by radical left-wing activists and power-tripping moderators who are, I would argue, intellectually and emotionally unequipped to perform their responsibility as moderators fairly and adequately. I think Reddit and Twitter kind of have the opposite issue. They do, Dragon Lords. You're absolutely right, and that's something I will be going into in this stream. Commies everywhere. There are commies everywhere. Commies and liberals everywhere, unfortunately. So now the issue with Reddit isn't the fact that it's controlled by the political left. That's not the problem with Reddit as such. If Reddit was controlled by the political right, then that would also be a problem for the platform. Again, what I want to stress is the issue with Reddit is the cyber balkanization and the malicious moderation of the Reddit admins who stifle the exchange of free ideas to enforce their own ideologies. Exactly as you say, Tempest, the long story short is the problem with Reddit is that it's an echo chamber, but you've also made a good point in the Hobo of Mexico. The issue is how insufferable they are. So I'll get into that in just a second. So what are one of the major problems with Reddit? Well, for example, the Democratic Party of the United States had a team of cyber influencers at taxpayers' expense, no less, whose job it was purely to start and encourage narratives that to vote Republican would be the death of the United States, and that if you did not vote Democrat, then you were an other. So an other, basically, you were a kind of weird, nasty, spiteful scum if you vote Republican. Up until Trump became president-elect, if you ever went on what should normally be neutral subreddits like r/pics or r/interesting as fuck, you'll notice it would be absolutely filled with posts from people whose pics and interesting as fuck posts were basically Donald Trump's a retard or like Donald Trump is scum, all that kind of stuff, right? Which isn't exactly a good, healthy basis for a democratic society. So this kind of behavior, now it's not unique to leftist groups, obviously. Ad hominems, gaslighting, propaganda, they're all tools that are used by all political parties as the ultimate objective of any political party is essentially to win at any cost, particularly in a democratic society. Losing in a dignified manner is not in the culture of Western civilization in particular anymore. And the reason why that's an issue with Reddit and not Twitter is because of the structure of Reddit, which prevents you from hearing the other side. Try as you might on Twitter, you will hear discourse from the other side. If you're a right-wing person, you'll hear discourse from the left. If you're left, you can insulate yourself from opinions from the right because of how the algorithm on that website works, essentially. So the issue with Reddit's structure is that the site naturally buries unpopular opinions. And what is the most likely opinions to be unpopular on Reddit? Well, it's normally the ones that are different from the circle jerk, right? It's anything that challenges the so-called circle jerk or consensus among a particular subreddit or ideology on Reddit. They normally get singled out, blacklisted, banned, hidden, removed by moderation. So it's essentially a case of they hated Jesus for he told the truth, right? Yeah, the upvote downvote system means that dissenting opinions get nuked. You can't see them. Exactly right. So the problem with this happening on Reddit is because essentially of the influence this site holds over millions of people, in light of the fact that it's an anti-intellectual echo chamber, and it's helping to accelerate the idiocracy because Reddit fosters increasing social and political God, I can't fucking say this word. It increases social and political polarization and extremism, which isn't good. So let's first describe exactly what cyber balkanization is. So it probably goes back in an earlier than this, but I like to use the 1996 definition of cyber balkanization. So in 1996, Massachusetts Institute of Technology researchers Marshall Van Alstyne and Eric Brynjolfsson warned of a potential dark side to the internet. Most ironic is to post unpopular opinion in unpopular opinion thread and get downvoted for having unpopular opinion. Well, that's the thing, right? r/unpopular opinion isn't an unpopular opinion. It's a popular opinion that might get the slightest, maybe a 1% little bit of backlash, right? But they treat it like they're brave and stunning for saying this nonsense. But Marshall von Alstein and Eric Brynjolfsson warned that there was going to be a potential dark side to the internet in 1996, before the internet really became mainstream and before personal computers were in basically every household, right? So they argued that individuals empowered to screen out material that does not conform to their existing preferences may form virtual cliques, insulate themselves from opposing points of view, and reinforce their biases. So internet users can seek out interactions with like-minded individuals who have similar values, and therefore they become less likely to trust important decisions to people whose values differ from their own. And this is cyber balkanization. It's basically a form of fracturing, it's echo chambering, right? So they warned that the loss of shared experiences and values may be harmful to the structure of democratic societies as well as decentralized organizations. And in my opinion, I think they hit the nail right on the head. I think they were absolutely correct. Love how r/the right camp meme had a rule to add watermarks on memes because right-leaning people use the subreddit to find funny memes. Well, this is the thing, Dragon Lord, right, about Reddit. It's funny. I believe Reddit is the only form of social media where they essentially force credit and watermark memes that are posted on there because they don't like the idea that people are stealing memes. Now, the idea of stealing memes is inherently retarded because the whole point of a meme is to spread it. You don't claim ownership of a meme, right? You make a meme, you can kind of be, I guess you can kind of take pride in the fact that you're the one who made it, but to claim ownership of it, to be such a pathetic and insecure individual that you want credit for making a mildly funny screen cap or image or whatever. It's like that in itself is peak Reddit. That tells you everything you need to know about the average Redditor. Just a pathetic, sad little individual, honestly. But again, when I talk mad shit about Reddit like this, by the way, guys, I use Reddit, okay? If you use Reddit, you use it to like catch up on news, you use it to look at guides for like your favorite anime or games and stuff. That's not what a Redditor is. If you just use Reddit, you found your own little niche where you've got some little group going where you talk about your favorite game or anime, use it to keep up in like gaming news. That doesn't make you a Redditor. A Redditor is like anything. It's a form of identity. A Redditor is like a state of mind. It's like you're proud to use the website. You use the website a lot. You post there a lot, and you're like very strongly steeped in Reddit culture. So later on in this rant, I'll explain exactly what Reddit culture is, in my opinion. The entire point of memes is to share. Yeah, exactly. Just like some geniuses blamed Elon for stealing memes, they don't understand how memes and monoculture works. I know. And it's crazy, right? It's like these people who cry about meme ownerships are the first one to steal other people's memes in exchange for updates and internet clout, right? The term was coined by Richard Dawkins to describe something that's widely shared and believed it's the fucking definition that you gotta share it. Well said, Turbis, well said. So, a major problem with Reddit, okay, in my opinion, is Reddit's culture. So there's no verification system on Reddit. There's no verification of an individual's credentials. People don't post sources usually. The site encourages quick, snappy responses, kind of like what Twitter does in a sense. But obviously, Reddit in Twitter, you have the the word limit, which forcibly prevents you from doing it. Most Redditors like with Redditors, they either try to explain an incredibly complicated subject in the most basic and generalized compartmented terms, so that they only have to, I guess, kind of put two sentences into a thought, or they write like literally War and Peace about something incredibly basic. There's no kind of nuanced in between with Redditors. So the problem is, with the way Redditors tend to engage with each other, it lacks normally a very detailed and nuanced explanation of ideas. And this is a problem, I think, because Redditors have a very nasty habit of talking complete and absolute shit that they made the fuck up in the moment. Not in the hopes of updates and internet clout like many people claim, but they do it because they are nasty, spiteful mutants and just malignant narcissists, and they believe that they have an expert opinion and analysis on every single subject known to man, right? It's a phenomenon I've seen on my years of the internet. There's just people out there who will just passionately talk complete shit because they just feel very strongly about a subject on an emotional level, but they know absolutely zero about what they're ranting about, right? I mean, an extreme example of this at the top of my head is the whole Israel-Palestine conflict. Whatever you think about who's in the right, who's in the wrong, if you don't care, people mindlessly chant from the river to the sea, right? This is an old meme. They chant from the river to the sea. What fucking river to what fucking sea? They have no clue, but they chant it anyway. They act like they're experts on such an incredibly detailed and complex part of history and a region of the world which is steeped in many thousands of years of history, right? That's peak Redditor for you. And the problem is with Redditors is that if you call them out on their bad behavior, if you correct a Redditor, then the vast majority of Redditors will immediately fold like a pack of croutons and defer to you, which is something I find really funny, because have you ever noticed that when a Redditor gets called out for being a fucking idiot, they all start the back pedal with the exact same sentence. They all start with, "Oh, for sure," and then they just try to regurgitate and repeat a little bit of your correction back to you in the hopes that they look less of a moron, right? So the problem is with Redditors is that when challenged, even if they are correct, right, even if they're the right person among a circle jerk of morons, the website always encourages you to backpedal and surrender to the most popular person in the subreddit or in the thread. Even if you sound like you know what you're talking about. So Redditors don't debate, again, due to the structure of the website. And because of this, essentially what happens is over time, people who use the website gradually lose the skill to differentiate information from opinion, which leads to the idiocracy. Collapse like a flan in a cupboard, shrivel like a scrow in the winter. Beautifully said like a true Scotsman. Redditors have nothing going on in their chick-like brains. They have "We're in the heart of the enemy, Tempest. 10,000 years, Tempest." Again, Tempest, the Redditors are confused. They got the misconceptions inside in their chip-like brains they have. Only niche, particular game series-centered subreddits are worth using in general from my experience. You're absolutely right, Frullo. That's come out, you black and tans. You've hit the nail on the head there, Frullo. You're absolutely right. So why does this happen? So this kind of behavior, right? The inability for one to differentiate between information and opinion, this skill deteriorates, and it's deteriorating in the West in particular. And it's not just a Redditor problem. As much as I like to rag on Redditors as being subhumans, which they are, social studies indicate that we are much more homogenous than we think we are. And we tend to interact more with people who echo our beliefs, right? So, for example, pretty much all of us here in the chat, we're all fellow Spicy Faith Connect fans. Most of you are you're probably centre right wing like I am. Maybe you're libertarian or right wing. I doubt that there's many left wing people here. No hostility if you are. There's all sorts of left-wing people. Some of them I might disagree with, but they're very intelligent and rational in their politics. And then you've got the fucking crazies, right? Hey, Phoenix Shaman. How you doing, buddy? So the problem is that we tend to engage with information that flatters our kind of ideological preconceptions, and this is accounted for much more in, I guess, selection bias rather than just algorithmic filtering. So we tend to, when we're talking about echo chambers, we tend to focus more, I think, on the consequences it has on politics and how it elicits a emotional response in people. But I think that echo chambers and places like Reddit, the implications of its growing popularity go way beyond affecting politics, because Reddit essentially creates not just an echo chamber, it creates retard chambers, right? So let me explain to you what I mean by Reddit creating retard chambers. Hey, Sansoka. Reddit doesn't so much have conversations as parrots repeating things without thinking much into it. I see that everywhere though. You're right. You're absolutely right, Sansoka. It's not unique to Reddit, but essentially the reason why I'm calling Reddit out is because of the disgusting amount of influence it has and how many people are essentially replacing independent research, Google, exercising their natural critical thinking skills, and it's kind of like the streamer effect, right? Where a streamer might ask, chat, is this real? What do I do, chat? I can't play the game, chat. Chat, tell me what to do. Basically, Reddit's doing the same thing to the population, and that is basically the point I'm going to make as to why I think Reddit is a global security crisis. It's turning us into fucking idiots. Hi, Gravis. Chat! Chat! I just watched the movie, chat. I don't get the ending, chat. Explain the ending to me, chat. Chat, yeah. They got shite for brains, doggy. I swear on me mother's titties, God rest her soul. Nought but shite in their heads. Like that Jakey you keep seeing doon by the off-licence trying to burn a light, aye? Aye, you can, GD. Instant mental damage. Lumi catching strays. Look, okay, hang on a minute. Just quick tangent on Lumi, okay? Look, I didn't bring up Lumi this time. Every time you bring up Lumi, I get to go on a tangent free of charge, okay? Hang on a minute. Okay. So if you guys don't know, my Kamiyoshi is the one and only Kaneko Lumi of Phase Connect. By the way, buy Phase Connect coffee. It's $35 a bag plus $35 shipping if you live in Europe. So I fucking love the Lemon Woman, but my God, does she piss me the fuck off sometimes though, with her incessant woman talk. I don't understand all these fellow Phase Connect fans who love Lumi and fucking Necrolina and Ollie just yapping about stupid girl shit for 3 hours. It's cute for about 10 minutes, and then after an hour, I want to fucking kill myself. I want to smother myself with a pillow. I want to smother Lumi to death with a pillow. I hate women, okay? And you can quote me on that. And as soon as I say that, the chat starts filling up with more people. Fuck. They're wondering why the hell am I going on a big rant about Lumi? Hey, what's going on, the Loxus? Good to see you, buddy. I love Lumi, but I can't listen to her yap. Holy shit. I can't listen to her yap even Tempest. But regardless, she's my Kamiyoshi. If she's happy doing what she's doing, I wish her all the best. But my fucking God, does she piss me the fuck off sometimes? The Lumi and Rooney and the two other girl collab with Say Women Talk. Yeah, you're welcome, Maulington. Thank you, Time Wizard. Her and Jelly's Slumber Party stream was keynote, and I'll hit nothing else. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that, Darth Likes Music. I did like that sleepover, that Slumber Party stream, but then that's because the collab was Lumi and Jerry, and they're basically the same person, except Jerry is more intelligent and more openly based than Lumi is. So when those two get together, it's actually quite a good conversation, although there were times during that collab where Lumi was making Lumi noises and I was hovering over Panko's channel and I was like, oh, please help me, God, I'm going to click Panko any second now. Lumi's great when she's not around other women. Why are we talking about Lumi all of a sudden? Fucking, this is all your fault, Time Wizards. Jelly hating women on overdrive. Anyway, let me get back to my point. Where the fuck was I now? I was talking about Reddit and shit. Hang on. Fuck, where was I? Yeah, so I was talking about my concept of retard. I wanted some of my favorite tard. It's always a good combo. Oh, you know what? I've got a meme. Hang on a minute. Hang on. So I'm doing a deep dive lore video explaining what the fish quest. I'm doing a video deep diving into like all the lore and fish quests, so that people who don't understand it all might know, can basically understand, you know, what it's about and shit, right? But the opening meme to that video I'm about to do is it's going to be this. Hang on, I'll explain it to you. I'll just quickly go on this quick tangent. Hang on, let me fucking get rid of the background. So the opening meme, okay, so it's going to be this. Hang on, let me turn my model off. How do I do that? Okay. So the opening to this video, right, so it's going to be this.
Morty! Oh, Rick, get in the car, Morty! Get in the car! Oh.
So it's basically going to be that shit, right, from the Rick and Morty Bushland Adventure, except Morty is going to be Loomy and Rick is going to be Jelly, right, and the car is going to have the car is going to be have Factorio plastered over it, because I fucking love the Loomy and Jerry Factorio collabs. Anyway, let's get back on track. But hang on, I'm an old man. I can't be fucking bothered to keybind all my shit, so I have to manually click it on again. Thank you very much for the membership, Vega buddy. Thank you very much, my friend. Good to see you again. Maulington, me boy, could you take VTA as a opinion gauge? VTA? Oh, what do you mean? What does VTA stand for? Sorry, Vega. I'm not sure what that means. What's wrong with the Pank Father? I love the Pank Father. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Panko new outfit reveal, by the way, did you guys notice how weird Panko's hands were? Panko's new models, like her new outfit's hands look like they're AI drawn. Oh, the Vtuber awards. Okay, I thought you meant like the virtual asylum. When you said that, I was like, what? Could you take VTA as an opinion gauge? Okay, so again, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Sorry, Vega. What do you mean by take it as an opinion gauge? But anyway, so I'll address that in a moment, Vega. So Reddit is creating essentially a retard chamber, and I think that the retard chamber that Reddit is creating has alarming implications for science and our collective well-being, particularly in the West. So political beliefs influence, if not distort, the rational and logical parts of our brains. So, for example, this can lead to otherwise well-educated and supposedly intelligent people arguing that, for example, I don't know, introducing millions of unskilled immigrants into the nation state all at once has no impact on housing prices or social cohesion, right? Which is an absolutely ridiculous concept to say. Imagine thinking that introducing millions and millions of people all at once into your nation state, worth probably about 5% of your total population, and then arguing that has zero impact on housing costs and infrastructure usage. And there are people, you know, there are doctors, lawyers, engineers, supposedly very intelligent people who argue these facts because they live in these dumb fucking echo chambers that convince them into believing this complete nonsense. So I guess I'm kind of showing my political bias there, right? But it's basic economics. Everybody knows how supply and demand works. Everyone gets the basics of supply and demand. You introduce 2 million people into a society, you build 500 houses, rent prices are going up, people are going to be homeless, right? It's basic mathematics. However, in much of the West, to challenge basic mathematics is considered ignorant and racist, and sites like Reddit do an awful lot to reinforce this kind of retardation, whilst at the same time actively pushing against your own history and culture. Exactly, yeah. Food comes from the grocery store thinking. Well said, Dragonlord. Or you got a license for that opinion, Gammon. I don't have a license for this opinion, and if you want to take it away from me, I've got a fucking knife. I'll knife you. Not only do they live in an echo chamber, they're away from areas that are actually affected. They are, very much so. It's normally the white gated champagne socialist communities who espouse these kinds of ideologies. I don't think they're ignorant of the cause and effect. They profit off it. Well, it depends on where they are on the scale, right? Certainly the elites who encourage this kind of thinking directly profit off of it. Obviously, the higher rent prices go up, the more money they make. Obviously, politicians are usually one of the biggest landowner classes in any country. In the United Kingdom, we give politicians free houses at taxpayers' expense in the City of London, and then when they're not using these houses in the City of London, they then rent the politicians then rent these houses out to people at exorbitant prices because property in London is extremely expensive. So basically, the way politics works in the UK is that if you're a member of Parliament, the British taxpayer will give you £2-3 million for you to own a house outright whilst you're an MP in the City of London. Basically, MPs only use that house when they need to debate in the House of Commons, which is only a certain amount of time, a very small amount of time throughout the year. So throughout the rest of the year, when they're not using that house, they then charge someone £3,000, £4,000 a month, if not a week, depending on which bit of real estate they've got, for people to essentially rent that house out. So double dipping, right? Twitter's so much more healthy lately. Yeah, Twitter's still got its problems, but you've still got an issue with censorship, and there's some shenanigans going on in Twitter when Daddy Elon isn't looking, right? A lot of people benefit who believe in this stuff, don't benefit it, but believe anyway. Well, this is the thing. It's like they believe it benefits them because they've been told that it benefits them, right? It's like we have a labour shortage. That's the old common adage, right? We need immigrants because they do the jobs no one wants to. And also the other thing about immigrants is that that it's good for the economy. When you actually do some independent research, look at the economics of it, what you'll realize, of course, with immigrants is that the vast majority of them are permanently, generationally net negatives, etc., etc. But now we're going on a tangent now about immigration. Don't get me fucking started on immigration, all right? That's coming later. I've got a mega stream that's going to be it's going to be about 6 hours long about the Canadian immigration crisis. I can't wait to teach you all about the Canadian immigration crisis. It's going to be a fucking ride. Also, thank you for the 2 Swiss francs, Vega. Reddit is bad, but Twitter's gotten better. Yes, it has. It's gotten better. We've still got a lot of work to do in that regard. It's more of a problem with social media in general rather than Reddit, to be honest. Small group of loud twats make noises while same people just stay silent. It is. It's not just a Reddit problem, but the reason why I'm singling out Reddit is because of the nature of Reddit. It prevents the free expression of ideas, it's maliciously moderated, and it has perhaps the biggest influence of any social media site. And it's responsible mostly for causing the echo chambers. It's probably going to replace legacy media as the main driver of retardation among Gen Pop, in my opinion. So, where was I? So, the reason why I guess people, so the way I kind of rationalize, the reason why people who are supposedly well educated and intelligent kind of repeat these ridiculous unscientific claims, which are demonstrably false, is it's because people, obviously, we're social animals. We've evolved to value the safety and acceptance of the herd. We'll willingly ignore our lying eyes and ears, deny our critical thinking skills in order to fit in with our peers, right? It's what you call essentially moral and intellectual cowardice. So this perpetual tribalism essentially bullies people into unrational and anti-scientific thought, like the phrase, just trust the science. Like, what the fuck does just trust the science mean? What an incredibly anti-scientific statement for someone to make. So, as I've told you on stream many times before, right, I'm an engineer by trades, and the reason why I got into engineering is because I love thinking about things. I love thinking about how things work in great detail, and also I love fixing problems as well. And one of the interesting things I've noticed about how engineers operate, at least in my area of work, in my culture, British engineers, is that obviously a big part of engineering, even real engineering, which is what I do. I don't do software engineering. I'm a real engineer, taking snipes there, software engineers. But I think even software engineers experience the same thing. When you're an engineer, one of the things you regularly do is you review your workings out, you review your process and methodology with your peers, particularly your boss, your senior engineer, right, who's supposed to, I guess, kind of know more and be better than you are. And without prompt, one thing that I've noticed among engineers is that we always explain exactly why we're making the changes we do, or why we do things the way we do, even though people don't ask for it, right? So I guess journalists always say just trust the science because a quote-unquote expert says so, and you should just trust the quote-unquote expert because they have a fancy piece of paper that says I am very smart. But that's not how engineering works. In engineering, it doesn't care if it's a junior, a senior, whatever. I need someone to explain to me exactly why they're working, how they did their workings out, and why they've come to the conclusions they have. Otherwise, I don't trust them, and I don't need to be prompted to think this way. It's naturally how I think, right? So when my boss says, yeah, you've done something that works here, Maulington, it's good, but I want you to do it this way, and he explains, I want you to do it this way because of these reasons. And then if I'm still not convinced, then he'll spend some extra time breaking it down to me, and then eventually I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I may not agree with your correction, but I understand how you came to this conclusion, and I concur that this is reality, that it would work. And this is an attitude that most people don't have, and it's an attitude, it's a kind of way of thinking that social media, and particularly Reddit, actively erodes and destroys in people, which is why over the years, every time a movie comes out, what's one of the first things people do? They go running off to Reddit to ask what the fuck happened in the ending of this movie I just watched, instead of just, exercising their own brain power, right? Trust the science, my brother in Christ. The science you're talking about is you made it the fuck up. You made it the fuck up, or the person, the expert who says just trust the science has been paid off by the government to say a certain thing. You can't trust these fuckers. You got a license for that thinking, lad? Something important about Reddit that I never see anyone talk about is that the site is designed to promote the more reactionary content with upvotes, so argued posts don't make traction. Yeah, that's kind of a point I made at the beginning of the stream, Eloxis. Yeah, you're exactly right. The very structure of Reddit inherently stifles intellectualism. It stifles difference. It just encourages you to say whatever dumb, commonly agreed shit, whatever commonly agreed slop people think, and just regurgitate it for the updoots. Hang on, I need a drink from my water bottle before I go on a bigger rant. One thing you'll notice about me, by the way, is that I don't say water bottle. I say water bottle, because I am very well spoken for an Englishman. Hey, Jose. What's he cooking? Going on a fucking rant, Jose, about how much I hate Redditors and how much I hate politics in the current day. This is fucked how fix. You laugh, GD. GD, you laugh about this is fucked how fix. The problem is, again, going into Reddit, the degradation of the university degree, the degradation of critical thinking. The problem is these days is that the next generation of engineers won't understand what the fuck I'm doing. And we're going to start experiencing a competency crisis where we won't even be able to maintain the systems we currently have because the next generation of engineers are too stupid to understand what comes before them, because a lot of it's automated, it's done with AI, or they just like Google it. Now, I'm not going to lie here. Every engineer, whether you're a real engineer or whether you're a software engineer, Googling and stealing the work of others, right, in terms of calculations or processes, it's a natural part of the thing. But what separates, I guess, an engineer of today and what separates an engineer of tomorrow is that an engineer of today kind of uses, I guess, Googling and stealing other people's work as just a quick shortcut to deal with a problem in the moment. What's going to happen in the future is more and more people are basically are just going to immediately default to Googling or Redditing that just answers to every single thing. So because they lack a fundamental misunderstanding, because they have a fundamental lack of understanding of the concepts or the infrastructure they're working with, they won't know how to maintain the systems. They don't know how it works. They can't even reverse engineer it because they don't know what to do. So we are in for some very scary times, particularly in countries like Canada and the United Kingdom, which are suffering absolutely awful brain drain. They just use ChatGPT, which is even worse. Yeah, exactly. Hates Redditors, hates women, cancel him. I pray into the machine spirit every day, brother. Every day I'm chanting to his spirit. Not only am I chanting to the machine spirits, I'm reciting my litanies of hatred like a true dark angel. Dude, you're saying this and I'm having flashbacks of being called extraordinary at work for simply thinking how to solve a problem a little bit. Yeah, that's another tangent I could get into at large, Aloxis. I've been rapidly promoted in my current job, not because I'm that good, but simply because the vast majority of my colleagues can't be fucking bothered to actually apply themselves. The moment they come across any bit of adversity, they just immediately shove it onto me because it's like, oh, Maulington, you're a man, Maulington. Men are good at this tech stuff. Yeah, you sort this problem out for us. And it's like, no, I'm the engineer, you're the product manager, like you're the project manager. This is your job, not mine. You fucking do it. You sort it out. You know how I can instantly tell when something was engineered just by looking at guts? German, French, British, Russian. Schools are working out mechanisms. Why is the British one so cooked? That's an interesting point, Baron. I think the reason why British engineering, Britain still has some of the finest engineers in the world. The problem is with British engineering is that our good engineers all fuck off to Australia or the United States the moment they've got a bit of work experience under them. The only people in engineering who remain in the UK either remain due to family commitments or they basically remain because they're ignorant as to how bad things here really are and how good things are in Australia and the United States relative to England. Obviously I want out, but the problem is that by the time I was old enough to potentially get a route out of the United Kingdom, go to places like Australia and the United States, the problem is that the Australian and the US immigration systems are absolutely clogged with Indians who are essentially exploiting the point system. Particularly in the US doesn't have a point system, right? But the United States does have a system where master's students get an extra go at the green card lottery. So even though the United States has a system where they limit by nationality, by demographic, how many people from each country in the world can immigrate there, the problem is that there's just still so many of those slots are still taken by Indians. It becomes really difficult for essentially anyone else to immigrate to the United States. And so because I kind of came of age when this system came in, it's really difficult for me now to immigrate to any of the Commonwealth countries. And since we've left the European Union in the United Kingdom, I can easily move to Europe. And obviously it's not helped by the fact I can't speak any European languages fluently. I can speak a little bit of Russian and I'm moderately okay at German, but you know, that's it basically. So I'm kind of fucked in that regard. Otherwise I would be one of many talented engineers, if I do say so myself, who would leave the United Kingdom. But alas, I cannot for now. I'm trying though. Doesn't Canada also have an issue of their doctors practicing and or moving to the United States? It does, Procrastinator, you're absolutely right. Canada is losing all of its skilled workers because they can either work remotely in Canada for US wages, or what they can also do is that they can easily obviously move over on the T1N visas and move to the United States. And the advantage that Canadian workers have over US workers is that the Canadian STEM workers in the United States are lovingly referred to as snow Mexicans, right? So again, we're supposed to be talking about Reddit. Now you guys got me talking about immigration. We'll have an immigration stream another time, but I'll finish this tangent on immigration. Hang on. Right, so among US corporate professionals, Canada is known as Snow Mexico. The reason why they call Canada Snow Mexico is because in the United States, an experienced American in engineering or software expects about, depending on location, he would expect about 150,000 United States dollars to 180,000 United States dollars to do his job. Now in Canada, that same position in Canada, a Canadian could expect about 100,000 Canadian dollars to about 120,000 Canadian dollars for the same job, which works out to about 80,000 US dollars or so. So what the United States loves to do is they love to advertise to Canada's best and brightest in their best universities, like, for example, the University of Toronto's engineering department, McGill University, and they say, hey, Canadians, come to the United States. If you come to the United States, we'll pay you 100,000 United States dollars to come work for us. No $80,000 entry-level Canadian wages. We'll give you 100,000 US dollars. That's like 140,000 Canadian dollars. Aren't we very generous to you? And Canadians go, oh, hell yeah, buddy. Hey, that sounds good. I'll go to America. They give us $140,000, eh? And then obviously the problem there is that the American companies are basically undercutting their native population by 80,000 US dollars. Because again, as I said, American workers would expect 150 to 180k US dollars to do the job. Nah, fuck that. Just pay a Canadian 100k to do the same job. Easy, save money, innit? Easy peasy. Brain drain is real. I wanted to go into engineering when I was younger, but my school counsellor put me in the wrong classes. No, I'm just a bum musician. And to be fair, Darfloat's music, engineering has one of, if not the highest attrition rates of any university degree out there. So there's a very high washout rate. So yeah, engineering isn't one of those things that just anyone can pass. I think engineering you can kind of brute force engineering. I'm not that good at mathematics, all things considered, but I did manage to brute force my way through mathematics just by repetition and hard work. So you can do it, but again, I guess this is the problem, right? Is that there are people who are fundamentally unfit to be an engineer, which is a problem solver, but they get into the field for the money, and this is how you get these issues in the big software companies like Apple or Amazon, and you see like these stupid TikTok videos of coders who do about 1 to 2 hours of work a week, and they spend the rest of it just eating and drinking. And I just know for a fact that these people can't code worth shit, and they don't understand how to create, nice, efficient, functioning codes. Their code is they probably make like a brand new component for every single project they work on, instead of thinking like an engineer and going, right, so if I'm going to be working on this system for the foreseeable future in the next couple of years, instead of creating a brand new bespoke component or object for every single aspect of this software I'm going to work on, why don't I create a component or object that all I need to do is change an environmental variable, and then that will allow this component to work for anything that relates to this system. A lot of new engineers these days don't think this way. They think they have to make something from scratch every single time they work on something new, and they always do a very poor job of it, and it fucking annoys me. It annoys me. Just reuse the same component you made years ago and just set it up so you can change the inputs so it can do whatever you want as things change. Annoying. You mean a subroutine? Basically, yes, GD, a subroutine is how you would say what you would call it in engineering. I should do more rant streams. This is really fun. Let me go on another tangent just for a second, right? Let me go on another rant for a second. So I'm the kind of guy, if you probably haven't noticed, where since the age of 16, I've always been very politically conscious and historically conscious. So I've been having fucking wars with myself, right? I've been having arguments with myself every single day since I was 16, right? I'm like at work. When I was a teenager, I used to work in a warehouse, and like as I was packing shit in the warehouse, I'd be like thinking in my head what I would do if I was reincarnated as Julius Caesar, right? And how I'd redo like historical battles and shit, and I'd think about what I would do in certain situations if I was like a politician or a government leader. And the great thing about being a content creator is I don't have to have these arguments with myself anymore now. I've got you, my captive audience, who I can fucking scream incoherently at. I can rant at you guys now of all my delirious shit. Hell yeah, you guys fucking, how do I stop you from leaving my channel? You're all gonna sit there, okay? You're all gonna sit there, you're gonna listen to me rant about whatever shit I feel I want to rant about today. You're gonna be my therapist. You guys are my therapists. Dear. The problem is when they get the mathematicians to teach math to the engineers and use abstract problems instead of starting from the actual physics equations. Yes, that's perfectly said, Jose. That's exactly right, yeah. Parametric design, what now? You don't actually need that much math and engineering exam. Yeah, exactly. That's right, Jose. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a particularly good mathematician, but what I am very good at is I'm a very good problem solver. So my ability to solve problems and think efficiently. Also, the other thing about what makes a good engineer is if you want to be a good engineer, you need to be really fucking lazy, especially when you work in automation engineering like I do. So the thing about me is, right, is that I will work incredibly hard and I will work endlessly to make sure that I don't have to do any work. I fucking love automation. I will work 48 hours straight if it means I can do nothing the rest of the week. No problem. Perfect. He's a true VTuber now using Jet to trauma dump. I'm not trauma dumping, Tempest. I'm rage dumping. Yapping like a real man based. Bro, I had plans at age 16 and now I'm a wee little weeb watching his tubers based in real Jose Prieston. Oh my god, let me tell you guys something. When I was 16 years old, okay, I was going to overthrow the government of the United Kingdom. I was going to become the King of England, okay? When I was 16, I thought I was going to be King of England by 18. And I was going to restore the empire. I was going to bring back Rhodesia. Right, I was going to conquer France, right? that's basically where I thought I was going to be when I was 16. Oh god, you know what, I think algebra is the thing I hate most. Differentials aren't too bad though. Differentials are quite straightforward. I learned differential equations at year 2 and then only applies them in heat transfer. Yeah, heat transfer. A lot of my colleagues really struggled with the heat transfer problems. I never really had much issue with heat transfer problems. But as you say, I've forgotten everything since then anyway, so the time's wasted. What existing tech or modules exist that I can co-op for my purpose? What off-the-shelf parts can I bastardize in new and unholy ways to make do what I want? Exactly, GD. People don't think that way these days. They just think, oh, okay, I've got a new task. New task means start again from scratch. New solution, right? And it's like, no. Think about what you've done in the past that can be reused to solve the issue. Anyway. Fuck, where was I? Let me get back to my notes. Where was I? Okay, here we go. So, online echo chambers like Reddit, okay, they cement preposterous, anti-scientific concepts, emboldening people to think that they are the only legitimate point of view that reflects normalcy, when in actuality, it normally leads to an increasing separation from reality. So, for example, in that regard, you can take a look at how Trump won the 2024 election and the whole leftist discourse before Trump became president-elect. Everybody thought that it was going to be Kamala sweep. Kamala's going to get all the swing states. The only people voting Trump are stupid idiot retards in the south, you know, living in the Appalachian, living in the Appalachian Mountains, and, you know, dumb rural rednecks. And then in the end, Kamala didn't win one single swing state, and Trump won by quite a significant majority. And they've been told up until minutes before the announcement was made that it was all in the bag. The pollsters had been lying to them, telling them that Kamala sweep, and then they take a step back a minute and go, hang on a minute. But for the last several months, people have been telling me that Trump and the Republican Party, they're all Nazis, they're all bad people, and that we're the Redditors, we're the normal people, we're the ones on the right side of history. How could this happen? Well, it's because you've been completely blind and ignorant to the struggles of your political opponents. You don't know what they stand for. You don't know the reasons that lead them to voting the way they do in the first place. If you'd gotten away from your echo chamber, if you'd learned to actually engage with the other side instead of treating them like they're some kind of enemy, like it's the fucking Civil War again, then maybe you could have, you know, understood exactly why you lost, and perhaps you could be a party that people would want to vote for, but they don't think that way. Blue wall dismantled. Hell yeah, buddy. The thing is, right, though, is that I shit on Democrats, but personally, I'm the kind of person where I hate all the mainstream parties. I think my issue with the Republicans, right, is that you're going to have people in there who are very pro-oligarchy, they're very pro-corporatists, and as productivity skyrockets, these are the kind of people who want to depress wages further. I'll be, again, to go on a tangent, right, about Trump's America, I do personally suspect, particularly because of J.D. Vance's love of Indian business, I bet we're going to see no change, or we're going to be seeing increasing rates of offshoring to Indian companies in tech and software, and increasing amounts of replacements of American workers with cheap Indian labor. I bet we're going to see more of that under Trump's America, because obviously corporatists can't help themselves. I hope I'm wrong though. I hope Trump will kind of dial back that disgusting side of republicanism, and that he really will, I guess, make a good dent into making Americans put themselves first. And that's something I always find very weird, right, about Europeans, I guess, and Canadians, right? So I'm a very pro-American person, even if, let's say, for example, Trump coming into office would be the worst possible thing for the UK. Even so, I'd still be very pro-Trump, and people ask me why when it's bad for England. And it's like, well, because even though Trump's bad for England, I'm very happy for the American people that they finally got a leader who they can, rally behind, and who they think is going to lead them into a new age of prosperity, right? It's I hate this kind of awful, like, self-serving, this like cynical, self-serving, I guess, kind of way that people get into politics sometimes. It's like, I'm just happy that my America bros are happy for a change, right? Us next, please. Anyway, so essentially the point of today's rant is I want to make the point that Reddit's making people stupid, Reddit's making people hysterical, it's making people fucking dangerous as well, right? You think about all the attempted assassinations, all the violence, all the riots, which are being encouraged by hysterical Redditors and the legacy media. And Reddit, I think, is rapidly replacing the legacy media in achieving this goal, and will probably replace legacy media in the next 5 to 10 years. So in the last 3 years, approximately 150 million more people have started using Reddit, so Reddit's influence is growing on a daily basis. There are 62.4 million daily active users on Reddit, with 2.3 billion monthly users on Reddit each year. And in my opinion, essentially all social media sites that allow for cyber balkanization should probably be banned and destroyed. I think we should make a charter that demands any form of malicious moderation by sites, like, for example, Reddit mods, should lead to the Reddit mods' immediate dismissal and blacklisting. There should be no tampering in the free... sorry, my back, I've got old man back. There should be no tampering in the free discussion of ideals by individuals or algorithms. People can block odious individuals from their feed when using social media. Obviously, I don't want to take that away from people. But instead of compartmentalized spaces controlled by unaccountable moderators, I think the best form of social media is one, I guess, kind of huge space, kind of like Twitter, that forces you to interact with the world at large, that prevents you from insulating yourself against any potentially dangerous ideologies, right? Like, no safe spaces whatsoever. So if Reddit continues to grow and it continues to become a replacement for independent research and critical thinking, soon the world will be dominated by the Redditor. And given that the objective of a democratic leader, the objective of a democratic party is to alienate as few people as possible so that they can win the seat of power, people will become progressively stupid and ignorant. They'll become scared, and they'll become mad as well. So I think of the quote when I say that from Abba Anthony, a desert father, right? Do you know this quote? The quote is, "A time is coming when men will go mad. They will attack him for saying you are mad." Hang on. How does that quote go again? Hang on a minute. I think I'm remembering it wrong. I think it goes, "A time is coming when men will go mad. They will attack him, saying, you are mad, you are not like us," right? I think that's how it goes. So, yeah, essentially, Reddit is leading to the idiocracy. We need to get rid of it. We need to make Twitter the big social media site. no algorithms, no compartment, no balkanization, just one big open space where we all have to smash against each other and have these debates in the open, so that we minimize the polarization and the extremism which is being created by these retard circles like Reddit, basically. So make 4chan, but with usernames, or Elon's Twitter works. I wouldn't quite go as far as to say 4chan with usernames, but Elon's Twitter, I think, would be a preferable alternative. I think the issue with the Twitter model is that it leads to a lot of rage bait and everyone getting pissed off at the other side. That's very true. That's very true. The problem is, right, is it comes to what's the least worst? What's the least worst outcome, right? Do we want echo chambers, or do we want, I guess, conflict between people of different ideologies? Because again, the problem is, right, is that even if you force two people of radically different ideologies together, that's still going to lead to the problems of extreme political polarization, right? It won't fix the problem. But I would rather people be continuously exposed to alien ideas rather than they essentially become detached from reality by being in an echo chamber. Because as long as you're continually exposed to new ideas, there's always that slim ray of hope that you'll begin to gradually question narratives, and you'll begin to question your own kind of biases and the positions that you become entrenched in. I think, like they say in 40k, an open mind is like an open gate, right? So there's always a risk that you reason yourself into, I guess, retarded kind of ideals. We've certainly done a lot of that in the West, right? Like, for example, in the West, we've kind of reasoned ourselves into questioning what a man and a woman is, right? Like the question of, can a woman have a penis? Now, in my opinion, there's a very simple answer to that question. No, a woman can't have a penis, so only a man has a penis. But we live in an age now, right, where people are too scared to answer that question, and there are people out there who genuinely can answer that question, right? Because they're almost too open-minded. They've rationalized themselves into a very weird position. How can we get people to use coddle culture back into a debate culture? Would be impossible without coercion, no. Yeah, that's a very interesting point, Shrimplicit. But I agree, we need to have this happen again. Yeah, it's tricky. I think part of what might be able to help that, Shrimplicit, is to essentially destigmatize the trades, basically. I think one of the major problems we have in the West, again, in particular, is that we have far too many people with a university education, and we have far too many universities and too many worthless degrees as well. And the problem is, right, is that not everyone is essentially intellectually or emotionally equipped to actually work in either academia, higher education, or highly skilled professions, unfortunately. You can get a degree, you can get a doctorate from Oxford University with enough hard work, but that doesn't actually mean that you are intelligent or capable enough to actually apply any knowledge you gained in a real-world context, right? So when I went to university, right, I think back to some of the people I went to university with. So when I did my undergraduate bachelor's degree in military history, international relations with a minor in politics, right? So I went to an elite university in London. So I was paired with some of the finest students, I guess, not only in the UK, right? But I was reading this subject also with some of the finest foreign exchange students and, you know, just general foreign students from all across the world, right? So I remember to this day, when I was doing one of my classes in international relations, I had this Egyptian girl was in our class. So she was an Egyptian. She was from Egypt. Her father was a senior politician in the Egyptian government, right? So she'd been to private school, she was very wealthy, and she'd received the finest private tuition and education, right, in Egypt. And this girl was in my university reading the same subject I was. And I remember one day we were debating nuclear proliferation, right? The idea as to whether we should engage in unilateral nuclear disarmament, or whether we should actually increase the amount of nuclear weapons and nation states that utilize nuclear weapons in the world. And this supposedly very wealthy, very intelligent girl from Egypt was genuinely under the belief that in the perfect world, every single country in the world should be given nuclear weapons, because if every single country has nuclear weapons, therefore everybody will be too scared. Everybody will be too scared to use them out of fear of mutually assured destruction, right? And that was her rationale. And if you think about that for more than 2 seconds, that's literally an incredibly naive and infantile way of looking at the world, right? Because you assume that every nation state is occupied and run by rational actors. Like, if you gave every single country in the planet nukes, fucking Africa and the Middle East would start global Armageddon within minutes of receiving their nukes, right? But I went to university with these retards, and apparently they're supposed to be very smart, well-educated people. I doubt that. I don't want that kind of... Imagine that person being president of Egypt. Fuck me. Right? An open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred and unguarded. Look into the case of the 2 Brazilian subreddits, the OG Brazil and the offshoot Brazil Livre. Mod abuse in one causes migration to the second, creating 2 bubbles. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of the Brazil thing on Reddit. I heard about the move from there was like an Eastern European kind. There was like a Balkans Reddit at one point, and this Balkans Reddit was basically used by Serbians and oh fuck, this is really embarrassing now. I hope there aren't any Slavs in the chat right now. Serbians, and who are the other ones again? Oh my god. Yugoslavia. So they're Serbians, and what the fuck is the country called now? It's not Yugoslavia anymore, is it? What's it called now? Albanians as well, to be honest. Probably Albanians and Montenegrins in there as well. It's Bosnians I was thinking of. I was thinking of Bosnians. There was a subreddit where Bosnians and Serbians would basically use this subreddit to be incredibly racist and like say and like brag about each nation's war crimes against each other in the subreddit. But funnily enough, that subreddit actually became a place of, I guess, like mending the historical wounds of the Balkans, and that actually brought the people of Bosnia and Serbia together like by hatred and racism, basically. And then what happened is that an American Reddit mod came in and basically destroyed this subreddit, even though every single person in this subreddit had no problem with the language and behavior in it, because it hurt their feelings, right? That's why this Reddit moderator banned something that was healing the grievous wounds of the Bosnian and Serbian wars, because they, as an American, they didn't think it was morally acceptable, right? And it's like, oh my god, you think you hate Redditors, you think you hate Reddit mods, right? You don't hate Reddit mods enough. Slovenia, that was the other one, Slovenia I was thinking of. You know, I've never met anyone from Slovenia in my life. I think, I forget Slovenia exists. Has anyone ever seen someone from Slovenia, by the way? Are we sure Slovenia exists? Are we sure Slovenia is a real country? Dude, you said that Reddit needs to be removed and my browser hard crashed. I thought the Redditors caught you. Well, the thing is, Aloxis, I don't need to worry about Redditors catch me, because the average Reddit mod is so morbidly obese and neck deep in child pornography, they would probably die of a heart attack if they tried to get on the plane to England to come get me, right? So I'm not worried about Reddit mods. Reddit mods are the least of the people I have the least to worry about. The same kind of happened in the Argentinian one. Oh, Argentina and Republica Argentina. But the Kirchnists left the first one because they got tired of being downvoted into oblivion. Are you Argentinian, Jose? What do you think about old frizzy hair? I love that guy. Afuera! If I was president, if I was prime minister of the United Kingdom, I'd do the same shit, right? I'd get like a big whiteboard. I'd have every government department on this whiteboard. I'd start fucking going afuera as well, right? Like Department of Transport, afuera! Department of Women's Affairs, afuera! Like Ministry of Education, afuera! Right? The Department for International Aid, afuera! Well, what's his name? What's the president of Argentina's name again? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Where's your Padaroo outfit? I don't have a Padaroo outfit. I wonder if yeah, how do you say his name? Is it Javier? 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 Javier Malay. ESL. Javier Malay. Javier Malay. What a Chad. Do you know, fucking, I'm half tempted to immigrate to Argentina, right? With the way things are going in the UK right now, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I don't know if they'd accept me in Argentina. I am an Englishman from England. Hello, Pascal Saucer. I wonder if VTube Studio actually has a Padaroo outfit by default. There's quite a few default outfits you can wear. Yeah, that's basically it. That was basically my little rant I wanted to have on Reddit and politics and shit. I don't really have anything else planned. Travel to the Falklands and wait. Just wait for the liberation, yeah. I don't actually have anything else planned to rant about now, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so Reddit hate. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Do you want me to go on another rant about something else? Like Q&A time with Maulington. Ask Maulington anything and he'll answer. Hang on, let me pin this. Q&A with Maulington. I will answer any question, politics or whatever. Just pin this. Let's just talk shit for the next 2 hours. Yap about stupid shit. Oh, you're Brazilian. I'm Brazilian. I go to the Argentinian communities to fight off depression by seeing things getting better for our hermanos. That's very based of you, Jose. If only more South Americans fought that way. If only more South Americans fought. I mean, it's not just South Americans. A lot of people that way. Oh, by the way, since you're Brazilian, Jose, I have to say this to you. Okay, that's a classic Brazilian mating call here, by the way. BR. That's the quickest way to identify any Brazilians in a room. So Pakistan stands strong. Allahu Akbar, Sensoka. Allahu Akbar, my friends. Pakistan will soon take over all of VTubing, inshallah. Oh, by the way, in the Phase documentary that I'm working on, I am going to mention Henry. And I'm going to be mentioning Henry's fucking meat effigy of Pippa. Can I just go on a rant a minute about fucking Henry for a moment? How many of you guys here know about Henry? How many Henry guys are here? Do you guys know about Henry? Fucking Henry made a meat effigy of Pippa, right? And he thought she would be really pleased Henry made a meat effigy of Pippa, and he thought she would be absolutely thrilled to see this meat effigy. And when I saw this thing, I thought, Jesus Christ, is this guy a fucking serial killer? Who the fuck makes a meat effigy of his favourite VTuber? Oh my god, I'm getting lightheaded. I'm about to fucking pass out from laughing at that shit. Jesus Christ. Can we get Dr. Phil? Can we get an appointment with Dr. Phil with Henry? Can we get fucking... Imagine Henry on Dr. Phil, right? Dr. Phil comes in and he's like, now, Henry, do you know why you're here today, Henry? Oh my god, you made a meat effigy of Pipkin Pippa. You are one butt fuck insane little man. You know that? Barbara, call the police. I can't help this man. This man don't need Dr. Phil. This man, he needs Jesus Christ. Right. Oh dear. I caught the tail end of it. I know Coco was his cameo she and had a freak out when she said she wanted to learn Chinese. Oh, Henry does not like the Chinese, man. Henry blames the downfall of Coco on the Chinese, which is accurate, to be fair. The Chinese did cause the downfall of Coco. But Henry also blames what he perceives to be the downfall of Pippa on the Chinese as well. So Henry thinks the Chinese are behind everything. He thinks the Chinese ruined Hololive. He thinks the Chinese ruined Pippa. He thinks the Chinese ruined Faith Connect. connect. He thinks the Chinese are deliberately out to ruin his life. And he hates Pippa now. I don't know who his Oshi is these days, right? But poor Henry is not having a good time with the Chinese. Henry, guys, is a bad title for us. Yeah, that's true, I guess. The only Henry I know is a vacuum cleaner. Well, I'm not going to get into, I guess, the more dramatic sides, like the really yab stuff that Henry did and said before he, I guess, kind of left the Faith Connect community forever. I'm going to bring up like some dramas and some controversial moments in Faith Connect's history in the documentary, but yeah, I think there's some stuff that's like best, you know, kind of like best forgotten and not brought up again. Right, it doesn't do anyone any good to bring that shit up again, right? If you want to know, fucking Kuro Rinji channel made a 5-hour documentary on Henry. If you want to know all about him, by the way, I suggest checking that out. I've watched it, and it's like watching a true crime drama. We live in the best timeline, lads. Henry is why Pippa nerfed herself, I swear. I don't think so, personally. I think... Pippa's obviously still chaotic. She's still going to be a bit, yeah, but I think Pippa's just, you know, it's just a natural evolution as to her getting more eyes on her, and it's just, you know, she's kind of just getting, I guess, kind of bored a little bit, and she's concerned about causing issues for her germ mates, which I don't think is... Yeah, I think if Pippa's antics were causing Faith Connect any damage, that would have happened years ago now, right? It's a bit late in 2024 to be worried about your behaviour, I guess, stifling the growth or causing issues for your gem mates. I remember at one point, like going back in early 2000, like mid to early 2022, I remember Tenma going on a rant once that she was having difficulty collaborating with people because they were scared of Pippa's reputation. That's obviously not the case anymore now. I've been doing some digging, by the way. I've been doing some research. The Niji sisters have infiltrated the Faith Connect community, by the way, guys. But I'm not joking, by the way. Guys, if you weren't aware, the Niji sisters have infiltrated the Faith Connect community. They're primarily in Panko's chat, Irie's chat, and Aruka's chat. They haven't made themselves known yet because there isn't a critical threshold of them. But yeah, you want to be careful with the people you're speaking to in Panko, Aruka, and Irie's chat. The Niji sisters are there, and if they're not gate-kept, then they will cause problems, so watch out for them. Yeah, I can... hang on. Let me... no, I've got way too many bookmarks. I've got screenshot evidence, by the way. I've got screenshot evidence that the Niji sisters are in fact in these are in Faith Connect communities now. And to be fair to them, the Niji sisters have realised that Pippa and Tenma don't reflect Faith Connect right. So they've kind of learned a little bit, I guess. They haven't quite learned the right lesson, but they've learned that not all of Faith Connect are, you know, spicy-based yab girls. So they found Faith Connect VTubers who are, I guess, more palatable to their sensibilities. But this is the problem, right? They're hidden. They've successfully integrated and hidden in some communities, right? So as Faith Connect gets bigger and more normies come into Faith Connect, there's a risk of internal strife in the Faith Connect community, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, as well, I find it interesting how a lot of them have settled into Panko's community, given some of the shit Panko says and does sometimes. They clearly don't watch enough Panko to think that Panko is a sweet cinnamon roll, right? They chose Panko. Exactly, Canister. They have chosen Panko. They're mostly in Aruka and Irie's chat, though. Hey, Boiler Rice. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you, my friend. Panko is not say-so. No, she isn't. I think they've only watched the streams of Panko being a cute little silly goofball. They haven't seen Panko talk about the Jews or the Indians yet. Right. I was shocked when I saw Panko talking about the funny hat people. I was like, Panko! Jesus. She made an offhanded comment once about the funny hat people. Once, right? She didn't say the Jews. She indirectly made a reference to them. Or the German stew country of origin. That fucking German stew thing, man. I mean, look, to be fair to Panko, okay? Where are you from, by the way, Canister? Are you European? I wouldn't need to explain this to you, Kenister, since you're European, right? But yeah, obviously, panko is an Italian. A lot of European countries, they pronounce the G sound as G instead of G. So panko wasn't saying a racist slur. She just genuinely didn't understand how to say that word properly. Clip. Oh, I can't fucking remember, guys. I can't remember the clip because I didn't see the clip myself. It was something someone had clipped on Twitter as like a reaction GIF, right? Like not a reaction GIF, but like a reaction clip, like a 3-4 second thing. So I'll see if I can find it. I don't think I bookmarked it. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, Poland. Yeah, you say G the same way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's just Italian norm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess I need to watch more panko. Yeah. Don't forget, she's shit all over 7 Italians. That's not white. I didn't know that one. So panko is a northern Italian then. See, my family are 7 Italians. So according to panko, I'm not white then. I was actually born in southern Italy, by the way. I was actually born in Campania. So I have Italian citizenship, but I identify as English. I'm half Italian, but I don't do that whole. I don't do really subscribe to that whole, I'm Italian thing. It's like, no, I may have been born in Italy, but I've spent most of my life here in the UK, so I'm English. The only reason I say I'm half Italian is because I don't want you guys to think that I'm like bald and gammon skinned. Okay, I've got thick curly hair, and right, I've got all my hair still. And I know how to cook good food. That's the only reason why I get defensive about being, half Italian, right? It's like, I'm not full English, don't worry, I'm not a disgusting creature. You cannot cook in a pasta? My granddad taught me how to cook, actually. My granddad's an Italian national, so he taught me how to cook shit the Italian way. So eventually, as I said before, at some point I'll do cooking streams in the meme stream way. Hey, Felix. Yeah, you missed the entire rant, Felix. I went on an hour-long rant about politics and Reddit and shit. Having lived in Europe for 10 years, now I'm beginning to understand the Europeans. Yeah, I've never been to Belgium or the Netherlands, but the Belgian people seem awfully familiar, like awfully similar to the English in many respects. Like, Belgium appears to basically just be swamp England, basically. And they talk funnier than we do. I spent some time in southern Italy. There used to be a NATO base in Brindisi and San Vito. Joined Bosnia operations. Yeah, I imagine there must have been, right? There was probably military hospitals there in order to get to... Pavlo, what was the NATO force in the Balkans War called again? Hey, Astasha. How's it going, buddy? Oh, we got Astasha here. Astasha is the local panko expert. Astasha, can you inform us as to many of panko's greatest yabs? I know panko, we've got the panko stew. We've got panko making some spicy comments about non-whites. Do you remember the stream, Astasha, where panko made a spicy stream about the small hat people? Do you remember which stream that was? She made one comment and never got brought up again. Belgium has a candy in Antwerp. That's chocolate Hans, if you know. Oh, if you know, you know. I don't like the sound of that if it's in Antwerp. Forget about it, Maulington. You're a great guy. Yeah, I want to do like a cooking stream where I do like a serious, where like the first half of it is serious, and I show you how to cook like authentic Italian meals, and then the second part of it, I'll be like an outrageous Italian American character with an outrageous accent, and as I'm cooking, I'll be like talking in a really raunchy way, and I'll be like, "Hey, yo, I'm gonna beat these eggs just like I beat my ex-wife last night, stupid bitch," stuff like that, right? Hey, ooh. Fuck, Cyrillic name. Okay, your name is Graf Sorrow. Fuck. Fuck, how do I say your surname? Your name is Graf Sorrow. Oh fuck, I forgot what that Cyrillic means. Sorrow. Is that sh sound? Sorrow Shan Sikia. Graf Sorrow Shan Skia Chorosansky. That N with the little thing above, that's an E sound. I always get confused as to when it's a ya sound and when it's like when it's an E sound, like rasi. So that's how you say ski, right? So that means ski, right? So it's not E, it's ski. Gotcha. Soroshaski. Graf Shorosaski. Chaski. Fuck. It's been a while since I've been practicing my Russian. I remember what restor means in Russian. It's about all I retain. What is restor? Hang on. I guess if you don't put it in Cyrillic, I can't quite understand what it says. Gesundheit. Guten Abend, Nidmuffin. Wie geht es dir, bitte? Ich heiße Lord Maulington. Ich bin 31 Jahre alt, ja? Oh, Pecto Pa restaurant. Okay, I have to remember that. I want to go on holiday to Russia at some point. I want to go to St. Petersburg and Moscow. Have a look around St. Petersburg and Moscow, see what it's like. I don't know how Russians would take me coming along on holiday. I guess I can't go there at the moment because of the whole war thing. But even after the war, right? I imagine if they hear my accent, I'll have like crazy gopniks chase me down and beat me, maybe. I've actually considered living in Russia before. Things are so bad here in England, I've considered moving to Russia to live and work. Wow, that's pretty good. Dankeschön. I used to be fluent in German 13 years ago. Unfortunately, I haven't spoken German in 13 years, so I am no longer fluent. I can barely speak it now. Ich bin Studentin Deutsche an die Universität. Yeah. Ich bin Studentin, how long did I study it for? 9 years, yeah. People are extremely friendly to foreigners. Oh, really? That's good to know. I guess it depends on which part of Russia I move to, right? I imagine if I move to, I don't know. Would I get a warmer reception in urban Russia or rural Russia? That's the question, I guess. And I guess it depends on like the level of wealth as well. I imagine if I got like a cushy Russian engineering job and were on high income and lived in like a rich area of Moscow or St. Petersburg, then I'd be very safe and happy there, right? But if I was like living in the slums, maybe like if I was living in the poorer regions, I think maybe the people around there would want to kick my ass, right? That's wild that Russia's a better alternative. I mean, that's the way I see things at the moment, honestly. I see Russia as being like a safer place to, I guess, like settle down and have a family than England at the moment. I am a baby, GT. Don't feel like a baby though. I feel like a crusty old man. I'm ethnically half Viet and half Irish American. It's very funny when they call up my name and an Asian girl answers. I can imagine so, Tempest. Actually, Vietnam's a place I've wanted to go before as well. I love the food in Southeast Asia. Thailand and Vietnam are places I want to go. I don't know what it's like in Laos. Is Laos a nice place to visit? I know such a shit there is really cheap. I might move to Laos or Vietnam, maybe. Live there like a king on my current salary. Petersburg is the most foreigner-friendly from what I've heard. Oh, okay. Only fluently speak Dutch. Dutch is a made-up language. Dutch is just a bunch of gobbledygook. If you moved here to the mountains of the southern US, you would fit right in. It's really based. Just tell people you hate the ATF and they'll treat you like family. I do want to move to the south of the US, Pavlo. I want to move to the southern US so bad. Right, I've told you all this before, right? But basically, my Maulington's dream, right? Before I die, I want to move to either Alabama, Florida, North Carolina. I would have said Virginia, but I think Virginia's being taken over by Californians now. So maybe not Virginia, but maybe Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, maybe Texas as well, the coast of Texas. Move to one of those places, okay? Buy a big fuck-off house in the middle of nowhere where there's a lake and my back garden is basically just the fucking woods, right? Right in the middle of nowhere. And what I want to do in my final days is I want to buy $20,000 worth of rifles. I want to buy a bunch of old Rhodesian military shit, okay? I want to buy a bunch of targets. I'm going to put them in my giant forest back garden, and I just want to spend my retirement years larping around in my big back garden with my SA-58, pretending I'm in the Rhodesian Light Infantry and shooting communists, okay? That's that's all I want. That's all Maulington wants in life. I just want my big single family home or even bigger, maybe a 6-bedroom home, even though it's just me living in there. I want my big open fucking space in the middle of nowhere, and I just want to be left alone to shoot imaginary communists with my FAL, okay? That's all I want, right? And I want cheap ammunition as well. I want cheap 7.62 by 5.1 with which to shoot out of my FAL. That's all I want in life. But can I have that? No, I'm forced to remain here in the United Kingdom. I'm forced to remain on this disgusting communist rock with its high taxes and miserable fucking disgusting mutant creatures who proudly boast that the best food in the world is fucking tinned beans on toast. Meanwhile, in America, those fucking Louisianans are eating garlic shrimp with this delicious cream sauce and andouille sausage and fucking like mashed potatoes that are just absolutely drenched in butter and bacon, and there's collard greens and there's grits and there's grit cakes and there's just all this delicious shit, right? And then the British are like, no, Maulington, you have to stay here and eat soggy beans on soggy toast that tastes like shit. And you have to give all your money away to the government so they can then spend it on foreign wars and the fucking immigrants that come here. And then, what's that, Maulington? You need to go to the hospital. No, fuck off. Fuck off and kill yourself in medical assistance in dying initiatives so you can make way for your replacements. I want off this communist rock, guys. Get me off this goddamn communist rock. We have the most militias in the US. Based. You sound like a lad who listens to Sabaton's Rock Drift every day. Yeah. Uncle Teddy was many things, but wrong was not one of them. If you remove Philly and Pittsburgh from the equations, absolutely. Speaking of foul, I've been recently recommended combat of a Brazilian squad in UKR using it. Wild shit. Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun, Jose. Sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I could as well. Remind me to clip this stream and your previous ones when you went to the US. It's very funny and pride inspiring hearing a British man be more patriotic than most Americans. Well, this is the thing, right? You don't understand what you have until someone else comes along and explains what you have. So many people from different countries, come along and they tell me, how good I have it here being a British person. And it's like, yeah, look, I understand that I have it very well in Britain, that many places I have it better being a British person than many countries out there. But the problem is I have that old British explorer mentality, right? I'm a very ambitious and greedy person by nature. I'm not the kind of person who just wants to sit around and stagnate in mediocrity. Nothing's ever good enough for me. Nothing's ever enough for me. I always want more. And America, to me, is the perfect country to give me what I want. Now, I know that the idea that if you just work hard in America, that you'll make it. I know that America has many problems as well, right? But I feel like America is a country where you are not only you're allowed to, but you are encouraged and rewarded for being an ambitious person who wants to make a lot of fucking money and get on in life. And the thing is, that's not what it's like in the UK. In the UK, we're a very socialist country, and we always reward doing the absolute bare minimum possible. And there's a cultural reason for that. It's culturally ingrained in us that we should never strive to be anything more than what we think we are, which is often beaten into us. We're often beaten into thinking we're a very incapable and unproductive people who can't amount to anything, unlike the United States, where you're very much encouraged that you can be anyone can be president if you want to in the United States, for example. That's the American attitude. But the problem is as well, is it's not just a cultural problem. The problem is that in the UK, wages here are terrible, and as you move up the career ladder, the amount of responsibility that you have does not match up to your pay rise. So let me put this into perspective for you, okay? So I'm a senior engineer in a company, okay? I'm a senior engineer in a company. I have a master's degree. I have a lot of university debt. I'm a highly skilled individual, and I bring my company individually, just me alone, just through the sheer productivity of my work, I bring my company roughly £7 million a year, each year, and it gets more and more as each year goes on, because obviously, as the longer I spend in this company, the more projects I complete, the more money I produce for them, the more projects I complete, right? So I'm continuously producing more and more money for my company in the realm of several millions of pounds, right? So you'd think that with all this value I provide my company, I'd be compensated appropriately. I'm not. I get paid approximately 60,000 Great British pounds, which is about 70,000 United States dollars to do my job, where I'm bringing £7 million worth of, again, £7 million worth of profit to my company. Now, my boss's personal assistant, a woman who basically just manages his emails, all she does is sort emails and book him hotels, she only earns 20% less than I do. So a woman with no qualifications and no skills, within 5 years of doing her job, has hit the peak of her career and has hit the top of her pay band, which amounts to 20% less than a very senior engineer bringing several million pounds or dollars, if that's easy for you Americans to understand, worth of value. So more and more middle class people in the United Kingdom who are very well educated and skilled are starting to wake up and realise, hang on a minute, so if I can just get a basic administrator job with no qualifications and cap out in several years at about £40,000, why the fuck would I spend 6 to 7 years at university to become a master's in something, get in a bunch of university debt, work a high stress, high responsibility job where if I make a mistake, I'm in very serious trouble, and make about an extra 20% more than that person? That doesn't make much sense to me. I'd rather just be a fucking useless non-job dickhead than, you know, actually be something useful to the economy, right? And then that's essentially why we have the big brain drain that we do in the UK. It's because, again, the people who are switched onto this stuff go, hang on a minute, Australia and the United States are offering me 5 times the salary for doing the same job, and there's endless options for bonuses. Obviously, when you work in these jobs, the healthcare is free. I can own a single family home in the middle of a big lovely suburb. Why the fuck would I remain in the UK and get taxed half my income? It doesn't make much sense to me, right? So that's one of the major issues that we have in the United Kingdom. 70k is upper class in my state. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, Kada, is that it might be upper class in your state, absolutely, but the issue is that American engineers get paid 3 to 4 times the amount I do for doing the exact same job. And they don't get taxed anywhere near as much as I do as well, depending on the state, right? Like, if I lived in Texas, Florida, you don't even have income tax, do you there? But more from each according to their ability to each according to their need, right? Isn't that the fair way to do it? No, it's not the fucking fair way to do it, Payflow. That's still playing music. It is. It's very quiet for some reason. Turn it up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so we were ranting about Reddit, we were ranting about immigration, and now we're ranting about the economy. What else should we rant about? Yeah, I know you're being sarcastic. Yeah, I'm just playing along. Too loud? Okay, hang on. How's that? Is that better? I hope you move somewhere nice. Yeah, I do as well. Wage compression, basically. Oh, yeah, let's go on a rant about minimum wage, by the way. Let's go on a rant about minimum wage. In principle, I do like in principle, right, as someone who isn't a fucking, like, you know, ultra-capitalist, right, so I do have a heart. So as someone who does have a kind of a heart, I like the principle of minimum wage where, you know, you force people to be paid a basic living wage so that they don't starve to death. But again, the problem is about introducing minimum wage, particularly in a country like the United Kingdom, is that middle class wages in the UK don't never go up. They remain stagnant, or they actually go down, as more and more people from foreign countries obviously come in and agree to work for lower wages in exchange for British citizenship, because no matter how poorly they get paid, it's still better than wherever they're from. But the problem is when you raise the minimum wage, it's not a one-for-one likeness, right? Like if you raise the minimum wage by 20%, then the price of goods and services doesn't rise by 20%. It normally raises by about maybe, if it's a 20% rise, then stuff raises by maybe 4 or 5%, and that obviously helps the people in the lower classes. The lower classes in the UK have been receiving minimum wage boosts above inflation, so the lower classes in the UK are actually becoming wealthier as the years go by. But the problem is, because middle class wages don't go up, the issue is that 4 or 5% increase in all our public goods and services is essentially an extra cost. It's an extra tax on the middle classes, right? So again, this again further compounds the issue that you have with wage compression. And what British politicians and economists don't quite appreciate is that they're looking at the severe lack of people who want to work in kind of like the intermediate levels of middle white class, white collar professional jobs. And they think it's an issue of not enough people are going into the sciences, like not enough people are graduating with, say, computer science or engineering or, you know, whatever kind of specialization. But again, really, it comes down to the issue is that if I can work a no responsibility, low stress job for a little bit less money, then, you know, why would I bother putting myself through all that hassle, right? It's just a continuous tax on the middle classes, and we don't see any return for it either. I should say as well, by the way, middle class means something different in the UK as to what it does in the United States. In the UK, we have 4 classes. I think in the US, you basically have 2 classes, right? So in the United States, you've got the lower classes, or no, you've got the middle classes, and you've got the upper classes in the United States, right? In the UK, we've got the underclasses, we've got the lower classes, we've got the middle classes, and then we've got the upper classes. So the underclasses are people who are dependent on social welfare. They live in socialized housing, normally things we call council estates, which are basically like commie block. Imagine a commie block meets the ghetto, right? That's basically what a council estate is for Americans. I want you to imagine the commie blocks of the Soviet Union combined with ghetto culture. You get council housing. So it's basically a form of very cheap, very modest housing for people, for families who are dependent on social welfare to live. That's the British underclasses. So after the underclasses, you've got the lower classes. Now, the lower classes are what most Americans would consider the middle classes, right? So lower classes, that's your average Joe, you know, car mechanics, people who work low level, office jobs, you know, Pete from down the street, basically, right? That's the lower classes. In the UK, middle classes refers specifically to people who work in subjects such as people who are like doctors, lawyers, engineers, you know, people who have highly specialized university degree requiring subjects. They're not necessarily wealthy, but they're well educated and they're a respected class of people in society, right? Like they're like the big cheese white collar professionals. And then you've got the wealthy, and the wealthy are obviously the aristocracy, politicians, basically. The politicians would call themselves middle class. Politicians in this country are basically feudal lords, they're upper classes, and, you know, CEOs and shit like that, right? So when a British person, if you ever hear a British person refer to the middle classes, it means something completely different to what you're probably used to in the United States. A bunch of government jobs are defined as multiples of the minimum wage, so that leads to more expenditure, more taxes, and whoops, now the new minimum wage is worth shit. That's very true, it's very true. It's like the expanding bureaucracy needs to expand to meet the demands of the expanding bureaucracy, right? It's one thing I'm really pleased to see both Trump and good old Javier, Argentine man, experiment with, is to gut the government by a significant amount. I really do hope it works, and I really do hope it takes hold here in the UK. But I think one of the major problems we have here in the United Kingdom is that, again, because we have a love affair of socialism in the UK. So the problem with that is that we see the government and we see public sector work almost as a kind of religion, particularly the National Health Service, right? Everybody in the UK wants to work a public sector job, but people here don't quite appreciate the fact that in order for you to have a big public sector, where you need higher taxes and you need a very successful, productive and rich private sector to pay for everything, right? So yeah, the British people tend to put an excessive amount of value into pensions, and obviously nothing beats the state pension, right? Nothing beats government pensions in the UK. But then the problem is, right, is that government pensions, social pensions, are basically a Ponzi scheme. They only work if you have an infinitely growing population with money who are a net positive contribution towards the tax base, right? And the problem is that a lot of the people, not just people from abroad, but most British people don't make enough money, essentially, that they're a net positive on the economy. So this is why they continuously increase taxes, and they're increasingly squeezing like the middle classes. It's because too many fucking people are basically withdrawing pensions that the state can't afford, and because we're suffering population collapse, the whole Ponzi scheme is going to come crashing any minute now. So it's like, right, we need to entrap millions and millions of poor foreigners who've sold away their entire possessions in the home country, right? And we need to rob all their money when they come to the UK, right? It's like, oh, are you an Indian who owns like a farm in the Punjab? Oh yeah, come to United Kingdom, come to our universities, spend your entire family fortune to come do a master's degree in the UK, and we'll give you citizenship. And then once they've spent all that money to come here, it's like, nope, sorry, give us your money now, fuck off, or work in the Deliveroo, scumbag. We've got your money now, we don't want you. Eat shit. It's awful. I mean, that's the thing, right? That gets, I guess, kind of lost in the immigration debate. So I do feel for some of these poor people who have been, I guess, tricked by their own government. They've been tricked by maybe the Canadian or the British government. They've been tricked by some form of immigration consultant who has told them a bunch of lies. They come here, they sell their family fortune, and now they're basically stuck here in a kind of indentured servitude, stuck being taxi drivers or stuck being DoorDash drivers for the rest of their days. So I do feel for them. But then, at the same time, it's like, if they've got access to the internet, maybe they should have probably researched this shit in the first place before coming over. I've heard that next to nothing good about the UK in recent memory, aside from the family members having their heritage, pride and crown. I've heard that the doctors I've met here in Australia are from England. Yeah, there's been a targeted attempt, Lindsay, for Australia to basically poach all of the UK's medical professionals. And the way they do it is essentially the salaries. So, to tell you guys about how much doctors in the UK make, you go to med school in the UK, okay, you're a junior doctor, Actually, rather than tell you, guys, guess how much money a junior doctor in the UK makes after you go to med school and you start finally, walking around tending to patients. How much money do you reckon a British doctor in their first year makes a year? How much money do you think they make? How much money do you think a British doctor makes in their first year? If I'm being honest, there seems to be a lack of workplace in every single industry. Adam Smith was actually a schizo. Yeah, Adam Smith's a bit complicated. I think one of the problems with Adam Smith's theories is that I think people misinterpret some of the stuff he said. Adam Smith didn't quite say that. Adam Smith didn't actually propose that economies should have an infinite growth model and an infinite influx of new people. He did encourage a common sense form of growth. But people always kind of, I guess, generalize his teachings as to saying there always must be infinite growth. We'll go back and see what you were ranting about. I don't fucking remember what I'm ranting about at the moment. Just speaking from the chest right now. And you're 100% right, especially because you can always do something on the side, like streaming. But here's the thing, Aloxis, okay? Oh, you fucking Aloxis, you got me on another rant now. In the UK, side gigs are heavily taxed in the UK. So in the UK, we have a gradient form of taxation. You earn this amount of money, you're taxed this percentile. You earn this amount of money, then you're taxed a higher percentile on all earnings you make above this income. So I think the highest gradient of taxation for most people begins at 40k. I think there's one more special form of gradient of taxation when you earn over £110,000, I think. But in the UK, regardless, doesn't matter how much money you make, in the UK, if you have a second job, that automatically gets taxed at least 45%. So all the money I make from streaming, by the way, over every dollar I make over every dollar I make over $1,000 as a streamer, 45% of that goes to the British government, and then YouTube gets their 30-40% cut, right? So imagine if I was a British VTuber corporation. Imagine if I was a British VTuber corpo, right? Let's imagine I joined FaZe Connect. So I'm a VTuber in FaZe Connect. I'm a corporate VTuber. And every dollar you give me as a male FaZe Connect VTuber, Sakana takes 50%, YouTube takes 30%, and then the fucking British government takes 45% of that as well. And then how much am I left with? Can't be bothered to fucking work that out. I can't be bothered to get the calculator out. But that's basically how much a British corporate VTuber would make if they also had like a full-time job in addition to that. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why you don't see very many British corporate VTubers, is because all their VTubing money immediately gets slapped with a 45% taxation rate. Let's have a look. What was your theories on how much a British doctor makes? 37,000 euros. No, Kaylee, they don't make 37,000 euros. They make 27,000 Great British pounds. Which is like, what, 28,000 euros? So a first year British doctor makes 28,000 pounds. In US dollars, that would be $35,000. We pay our first year doctors in the UK $35,000 after they spend all those years in med school. Now, when they've got about 6-7 years behind them, they make about, and they become a senior consultant, then they make about £120,000 at most. Normally at the bottom, it starts at 80. It starts at £80,000, and then kind of the way pay scales work in the UK, right, is that the National Health Service in the UK has what's called a pay band system. So in the pay band system, when you get promoted to a new role or you work in a certain role, you always begin at the bottom of the pay band, and then that pay band will increase the more years you spend in the role. So let's say you're a consultant, right? You get promoted to a consultant, you start off on £80,000, and if you remain in this role for 7 to 8 years, eventually you get boosted in the pay band to 120k. And what's the problem with that? Obviously, the problem with that is that you aren't rewarded for being good at your job. You are rewarded purely for time spent in service. So again, there's nothing you can do to move up to the higher pay band quicker. So what places like the United States and Australia do is they go, hey man, so you're a senior consultant on 80k in the British NHS service, and if you want to start earning American wages, you will need to either open up your own practice or spend another 8 years or so in your current position. Why don't you just fucking head on over now, and we'll give you that wage right now. In fact, we'll give you more of that wage right now, and we'll tax you less. And then obviously off they go, off they fuck. They're like, hell yeah, I'm not waiting 8 years to finally be paid what I'm worth. I want that now. And that's why we get poached. That's why everyone's going to Australia and the United States and Canada. They're going to Canada as well. But now British people are starting to realise that Canada's just as fucked as we are. So Canada isn't a very popular destination anymore. Set up your own company and hire an accountant. Don't take it as a wage. Yeah, that's basically the way forwards, right? Damn, the local synthetic fabric plant pays their brand new workers $23 an hour. That's for someone fresh out of high school with no experience. Yeah, The Sun says basic annual pay is 32k, and that's after a recent clinician strike, which increased their salary by like over 10% or something. So yeah, that's only just recently as well that they've had a massive pay rise from our culturally Marxist government. Venezuelan law. Venezuelan law. When it went socialist and everyone was on board with the same paycheck thing, the first people that complained were the blue-collar workers with years in the industry. Then they made a system that rewards how long you've been working. Yeah, that's the thing. That's essentially there. Right there is the crux as to why communism will never work. Communism will never work. Neither will socialism either. Like pure communism and pure socialism will never work because it is inherently unhuman. Communism and socialism fundamentally lacks understanding of basic human behaviors and psychology. If I'm doing, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. If I feel like I'm doing a harder job, a more valuable job than another person, I am naturally going to be pissed off that I'm being compensated the same as the person I see as being inferior to me, right? Again, and also it's the natural instinct of people to acquire stuff, to acquire resources. Again, the problem is with communism and socialism is that the wealth never gets redistributed, because once you've confiscated all the wealth of a nation and you're stood there looking at the piles and piles of gold and money, like, what kind of person would think, yep, I'm going to distribute this at a 1-to-1 ratio of equality and fairness? No one is that disciplined. No one is that. You'd have to be a special kind of retard to not want to embezzle that amount of funds, right? No one is above that level of power and control. Communism just fundamentally understands how people think and behave, and that's why it always fails, because again, in order to get people to behave under a communist system, you have to repress them violently, and eventually people get sick of having the gun pointed at the back of their heads, and they start fearing starvation more than they start fearing having a goon with a gun to the back of their head, and they will overthrow the communist government and introduce some more fair form of capitalism. Obviously, capitalism has its problems, but again, where the world's biggest famines all caused by communist dictatorships, right? Not very many famines have been caused under capitalism. Absolute power and all that, exactly. Marx as a lunatic who thought that the nature of man can be changed. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the problem with people like these as well. Again, going back to like the anti-human nature of them, is that these people, they're all academics, right? Like Marx, fucking Nietzsche, just all these people, they spend their entire lives in academia. They're always reading books, right? They're always having a big think about something. But these people never actually they've never worked like a day in their lives. They've never sown the fields. They've never reaped anything. They've never even counted like a peasant or a working class person in their lives, and they fancy themselves as some kind of like benevolent dictator with all the answers, and they think all the answers are like in their book, and they always think of things in a kind of romantic academic way. But if you've ever, actually like lived through life, if you've ever been poor, if you've ever gone through like the adversity that comes from not having, wealth and advantage and having a lot of stuff, being born into wealth, you realize that that the world is very different from the fancy romantical philosophical nonsense in the philosophy books, right? Like reality does not live up to what is in these fucking stupid philosophy books. Sounds like Starmer. Yeah, people like Starmer, people like Labour, even Sargon sometimes falls into this trap. Like Sargon of Akkad sometimes gets into a bit of a self-wankery session where he really enjoys like debating the semantics of like Marxism and liberalism with people on the internet, and it's like, yeah, well done, Sargon. You're a very clever man. You understand Marxism better than other people, but that's not gonna fucking fix the country, though, is it, mate? We need to actually take serious, tangible action in order to get our country back. Like owning leftists on Twitter is not helpful, right? Being smug about how much political classics isn't helpful to anyone. This furry is so smart. I'm not smart. I'm a fucking idiot. I just notice things, right? I mean, I'm just a humble engineer who likes fixing problems and seeing things for what they are, so I can fix them. And it annoys me that there's so many people in the world today that just trust the experts and are just content to be told what to do and think, and it fucking annoys me. just fucking think about it, genius. Just Google it. Don't stop trusting the experts. The experts are bought out by the fucking government. They're bought to spin a message. Any attempt at socialism ironically turns with fascism painted red. Yes, it does, exactly. It does. There's no rich people in North Korea, more than just ask the diplomats. If communism worked, you'd have more successful countries that had it. You would. If communism worked, the entire fucking east of Europe wouldn't be so violently against it, even though they're about 2 generations now removed from living under communism. Like, communism had such a terrible impact on the countries that it infested. Like people who lived under communism, their fucking grandkids despise communism with a passion. And it's not just the Eastern Europeans either, it's the fucking Venezuelans. The Venezuelans hate communists as well. So if you've got the Eastern Europeans, the Venezuelans, the fucking Africans hate communism. There's a common denominator there. For some reason, Hassan Piker came to my mind as he said that. No idea where that could be. I think the problem is with Hassan is that Hassan's just a grifter. Like, Hassan is just one of those people who just, again, Hassan's basically a Redditor. He just talks passionately from the heart about shit that he doesn't understand or probably really believe. Really, that's it. Like, Hassan is not an academic. He doesn't do any research. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just reads sound bites. He probably just reads, what the popular opinion is in leftist spheres and just regurgitates them, right? Whatever's popular at the moment, so he can get paid lots of money and, live in his mansion and buy all his Porsches despite being a supposed communist, right? But funny enough, actually, that's an interesting thing. When I was after university, I actually met one of my former university colleagues, and he was an outspoken communist. But despite being an outspoken communist, funnily enough, he got a job in the City of London as some kind of, I don't quite understand how it works, but he was some kind of financial trader in the City of London, right? So he was working a super capitalist job, being paid lots of money to trade shit. And when I remember him being a diehard communist. So I asked him, I said, so if you've been all throughout university, you were a diehard communist, and now here you are, at the heart of the evil capitalist system, working in finance, making your corporate overlords a lot of motherfucking money at the expense of the stupid working poor. How do you justify that as a communist? And the way he said it to me was, he said, well, I'll happily take the oppressor's money for the revolution. All right, and I was like, damn, I wish I was so devoid of morality and ethics that I could rationalize myself into that way of thinking. That's an interesting one. So the way you rationalize being a multi-millionaire, driving fancy cars and owning a really fancy property on Canary Wharf is that you're using the evil capitalist money yourself for the revolution. Okay, brother, what revolution is this? What revolution are you instigating in your nice multi-million-dollar property in the finest area of London then? I mean, God, I wish I was as immoral as these people. Hey, Alicard. Hey, Maulington. Sorry, I think I've missed some donations, actually. Let me check that. Thank you very much for the €5, Ninja Muffin Buddy. Thank you very much, my friend. Donate now to save the Lion Boy so we can eat more than soggy beans. There's no need to donate me any money. Thank you, guys. I make plenty of money. I make plenty of money from my job. I just do that, as I said before, I just do this streaming shit for fun, right? It's just a fun hobby for me. I don't expect anything. Just as long as you turn up and you let me fucking, I don't know, talk complete nonsense to you, that's all I care about, right? Good fun. I enjoy doing it. Let me scroll up a little bit. Actually, I've missed a lot of stuff. My favourite commies are the French ones, like Foucault. They are delusional. I mean, communist and delusional, oxymoron. All communists are delusional. For some reason, I read that one. I don't like it because I grew up on a farm and did ranch work, and every commie regime seems to target pharmacists. You're absolutely right, Cade. If you didn't know, they're targeting the kulaks here in the UK at the moment. At the moment, the government of the United Kingdom is basically raising taxes on farmers. They're raising inheritance tax. And basically what that does is that guarantees that farmers in the UK can no longer pass their farms on to their children. So guess who's buying up all the farms that farmers in the UK are too poor to essentially transfer to their children? All the farms in the UK are being bought up by the government, and they're being bought up by mega investment firms like BlackRock, for example. BlackRock are buying up British farms. So yeah, at the moment the British government are on a crusade to put our food supply in the hands of the West and themselves, the culturally Marxist government, so they can eventually mismanage things, just like Uncle Joe did, and start starving us all to death. Which is great fun, which is why I want out of the United Kingdom. I wanted out of the United Kingdom before they started purging the kulaks in the UK. I really fucking want out of the UK now if they're openly coming after the kulaks. Fuck me, talk about accelerationism. He didn't deny being a furry, got him. I'm not a furry. Look, I seem to be collecting titles, okay? I'm not a furry, okay? I'm not gay. I'm not, what else is it? I'm not furry, I'm not gay, I'm not British, I'm a temporarily embarrassed American. I'm a big, strong, burly man. Oh yeah, and I'm not a femboy, okay? I'm a big, strong, burly man. Communism claims to make everyone rich, instead everyone becomes poor. Very true, you're exactly right, Felix. The Cubanos especially. God, I've gone on this rant before, but let me just tell you something. When I went to America back in October, I saw Cuban women for the first time, and let me tell you boys something. The Cuban, this sounds really bad. Oh shit, should I say this? This might come across the wrong way. Oh fuck. You know what? I've started now. I may as well fucking finish it. Look. I'm not racist, but look, I'm not racist, but I typically only find white women attractive, okay? That's just my preference, okay? It's not racist. I can't help my preference. However, those Cubano women, though, those Cuban women look absolutely fine as fuck, man. Like I said before, when I rocked up to the hotel, there was this Cuban woman who like got out of like this black Escalade in front of me, and she was wearing this super tight like red velvety dress with black high heels, and she had like the shoulder length, you know, like straight chocolate brown hair. And this woman was so incredibly fine. I was so horny. I learned Spanish through horniness, basically. Right, I don't know Spanish, but I started going, oh, me gusta mucho, oh, señorita, por favor, come to Lord Maulington, oh, ay, caramba, what a sexy woman this is, goddamn. I do like Cuban women. Cuban women are sexy. Based. Makes you want to fire up the old empire and colonize, you could say, yeah. Exactly. So I don't just like white women now. I like Cuban women as well, to be fair. I don't know. The thing is, I can't tell the difference between a Mexican and like a Cuban and like a Venezuelan and a Puerto Rican. I'm sorry, you all look the same to me. I don't know. I can't tell who's who. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys have to teach me what the difference is between the different South Americans so I can tell. Your Honor, my client was just horny. I do. I hear Latina women are really fucking crazy. Like, I hear Latina women are the kind of women who, like, they like wake up. They have a dream that you cheated on them in their dream, and then like they wake up and cut your balls off because you cheated on them in the dream. That's what I hear about Latina women. And you know what? That actually sounds kind of sexy. That actually sounds kind of exciting, right? To have like a fucking like mentally unstable woman who could cut you at a moment's notice over shit in her dreams. It actually sounds sexy. It's true, they will. Fucking hell. No wonder you will want to. No wonder all the South Americans want to cross the border. Fucking hell. Yandere enjoyer, huh? I just fucking love mentally ill women. It's sexy. Freak. Oh, Pomikizia. Pomikizia graph. I'm not a freak. Pomikizia. Is that how you say it? Pomikizia? Pomikizia. Guess we can add another title to the list. What would you know when you really like Asian people, that's like yellow fever. Is there like a fever for South American women? I guess it wouldn't really be brown fever, would it? That would be like people from the Indian subcontinent or something. If Yandere is the best dere. You know, I used to think Yandere is the best dere. I'm actually quite partial to kuderes. I quite like kuderes. Kuderes are funny. They're kind of cool, and I kind of enjoy. I'm not an M person. I'm very much an S person, but I enjoy a little bit of M. I enjoy just a little bit of M sometimes. But yeah, Maulington's the guy. Maulington's always on top, right? Maulington's always the guy on top. All right, if you're having this sexy time with Maulington, bite down on the pillow, sweetheart, because I'm going in raw. Okay, Maulington's never below. Maulington's never below. Latinas are either the most wholesome, positive, great people you've met, or absolutely insane, like making anime yanderes look sane. Baseline is getting more based. Yeah, this is the thing. I think one of the most difficult things I find, or I'm finding, about doing this Phase Connect documentary, right, is it's about how much do I go into the based shit about what Phase has done, the stuff they said, and what the community's like. Because the thing is, it genuinely wouldn't be fair to say that Phase Connect, that everybody in Phase Connect, all of its VTubers and communities are, like super based spicy boys, right? Like people like Aruka and Irie, for example, are perfectly they're very normal, very lovely people who don't usually, I mean, Sheena does sometimes, right? But the two of them don't really say anything, really too based and spicy. And it's like, I always worry that if I go too hard into talking about that stuff, then it kind of creates like the wrong image of Phase Connect, and it makes it look bad. But then at the same time, though, that is objectively why Phase Connect is so popular. It's exactly because of that base spicy shit that some of them say. So this is like the difficulties that comes from, I guess, trying to do a fair documentary on something you're a huge fan of, right? Because if I wasn't naturally a huge fan of Phase Connect, it'd be very easy it'd be very easy to do like an unapologetic kind of rundown as to what Phase Connect is like. But because I actually obviously care about the talents and I don't want to, misrepresent them, I'm kind of, I guess, like overthinking things. I'm kind of thinking myself into circles and perhaps like overanalyzing things where I'm actually, perhaps being almost like too cautious and actually almost covering from them a bit too much, right? Kudere is peak, hell yeah. Latina fever. Yeah, maybe we could call it Latina fever. Yeah, Pomikitia, help. Yeah, exactly, yeah. that is what I meant to say. Pomikitia, yeah. I love Kuderes. Kuderes are cute and often funny. What's the name? You know what? Kuderes are becoming increasingly Russian in anime these days. And I fucking dig that, right? Like, fucking anime is giving me a fetish for Russian women I don't know I had. There was that anime with the Russian with like the half Russian Kudere girl. God, help me remember the name of it. There's like this anime, and there's this girl who likes a guy, right? She's half Russian, and she's got like blonde hair, and she's really Kudere. It's not that recent anime with the girl. It's called something like What's Her Face Likes the Guy in Russian. Not the new one that came out. It's an anime that came out a few years ago. It's a half blonde Russian girl who's a Kudere. That's peak woman to me. Some kind of like Russian or Ukrainian blonde woman with blue eyes. That is my ideal woman right there, man. That is, and she's Kudere by nature. That would be the perfect woman for me. You say M&M's, you did promise how to have sex stream. How? Let me get the toggle ready. Hang on. Oh, this is gonna be cursed. Let's do a Merryweather. Hang on. Let's do my best Merryweather impression. Let's get bigger. Let's get bigger. Bigger. We're gonna need a bigger hat. Hang on. Do you like my shoujo sparkly eyes? Oh, this toggle was so much fun. I need to use this toggle ball. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Oh, fuck. Now that I can boost my blush actually. Hang on. Let me boost the blush as well. Oh, wrong button. Nope, wrong button. Fuck, what buttons did I put it on? Here we go. Now we're cooking. Here we go. Okay, hang on. Chat, shut the fuck up for a minute. You're making me laugh. No, I can't do the voice. Chat, shut the fuck up. You're ruining it. Okay, hang on. Oh, chat. I'm afraid I must confess something to you of a most sensitive nature, chat. Chat, I think I might be in love with you, chat. Chat, why don't you put... Chat, put your fingers in my... Put your fingers. Chat, put your fingers in my ass, chat. Please, I beg of you. Yeah, I would be most appreciative if you gave this cat boy I would most appreciate it if you gave this little femboy a bit of a fingering in the butthole. Don't clip that. Don't clip that. Oh, you know what? The reason what brought that on is I was on fucking Twitter earlier. I was on Twitter the other day. And do you guys know who Straw Torch is on Twitter? He's a Kapipi. He's a very horny Kapipi. And Straw Torch retweeted that. Oh, actually, what's that? No, I don't think I bookmarked it. Did I bookmark it? Hang on. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just see if I've got it bookmarked, so I don't have to explain it to you. I can just show you it. Oh, give me a second here. Straw Torch said the funniest thing the other day that made me burst into laughter. I had like a laughing fit for about 2 minutes. I nearly threw up. I was laughing so hard at it. Oh, please tell me I bookmarked it. Please. I'd be so upset at myself if I didn't bookmark it. It was so fucking funny. No, I don't think I bookmarked it. I'll have to look for it later and I can show you another stream maybe. But do you guys, I can't even find like the image and reference now, but do you guys remember that Agemata made that art of Lumi where she's got like the blue fingers and she's looking at her mobile phone and she looks disgusted. So Straw Torch, basically he reposted that art of Lumi like looking disgusted at a mobile phone with her blue fingers in the forefront, and he said in his quote repost he said, "Imagine having those blue fingers in your butthole." And when I read that just fucking destroyed me. I almost want to put that in the Face Connect documentary. It was so fucking funny. That set me into a laughing fit for about a good 2 minutes. Oh dear. I would love for an interview with Turtle Chat. Is Turtle Chat here? Is that fucking bot here? Turtle Chat's everywhere. I see Turtle Chat in like British politics threads. Yeah. Okay, you need to stop now. Okay, let me turn the curse toggles off. Okay, there we go. Back to normal now. Oh dear. How do I delete membership? You can't. You're stuck here for now. Male VTuber creation stream left some scars I see. I'm sorry, I have to block you now, Rip. Let's go to those interviews now. You know what? The problem is, right, hang on, let me tell you some information, by the way, about the interviews. So if you guys follow my YouTube post, you see that I mentioned I had an interview lined up with Shikimi Yoshino from who's ex-Prison Project, right? And we'd agreed to go ahead with the interview. We were going to go ahead with it. She was like, "Yeah, I can't wait to do it." And then unfortunately, yeah, she backed out a couple of days ago. And yeah, she said the reason why she backed out of it was because she made a promise to her audience, and she'd kind of like reinforced that promise in a stream a couple of days before that, actually, where she promised that she wouldn't do a one-on-one collab with a male VTuber or like just like any male content creator, whether it be on stream or a pre-recorded video, because she was worried that it would about how her community would take it. She said that it would make her community really uncomfortable. So yeah, I really appreciate her for being upfront with me about that and being honest about it, and I completely understand where she's coming from. That's the thing, right? Is I'm always really conscious about when I ask for interviews with like female VTubers. I always assume in the first instance they're going to tell me no because of the whole male on stream thing. So again, no hard feelings for Shiki. She did answer all the questions I wanted to answer. She did answer all the questions I wanted to ask her through email. So I've still got all the information I need for the eventual documentary, and I guess I could kind of make a video out of it where I kind of deconstruct her answers maybe in some more detail. But yeah, it's the thing I find with most of the people who I'm trying to interview, the female VTubers, I'm actually getting a lot more responses than I thought I would. I thought like 99% of people would just completely ignore me because they'd be like, oh, you're a small channel, I've never heard you, who the fuck are you, like who cares, like fuck off, I don't want to waste my time with you. But what I'm finding is that the vast majority of female VTubers I ask, both corporate and independent, they are in principle actually quite open to like having an interview. Like they read the questions I send them and they're like, actually, you know, this sounds like fun, I'd like to do this. Unfortunately, however, I have promised my community that I do not collaborate with males, so I can, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for your interest. Right, and it's really sad. It's disappointing, honestly, but at the same time, actually kind of it's nice to see though that so many of them are up for it. But yeah, this is the problem, right? Is I want to be as maybe if I appear as less manly as possible, then if people don't view me as a man, then maybe I can get some of these interviews, right? Right, I need to be gay as fuck, right? Then if I'm gay as fuck, the chat won't feel threatened. I bet more VTubers may have heard of you than one would expect. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. I always wonder. Like, it's this thing. I don't want. It's a strange thing, right? Where I don't want to be perceived, but then at the same time, naturally, I want to be a bigger channel and to be recognised. So it's a weird, almost schizophrenic woman duality I have. But yeah, I mean, you're already British. Yeah, that's the thing. I think, though, Mr. G, I think, oh, come on now. I'm pretty fucking cool. I'm pretty based. I'm pretty manly for a British quote-unquote person, right? Unlikely? Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I bet more... nah, just like Jeremy Clarkson. Everyone appreciates him, but no one's attracted to him. Power! Hammond! Hammond, you idiot! Maulington, effeminate arc. Why would you think that? A lot of content creators are really perceptive to private collabs and things like that. Oh yeah, I forgot I could pout. Hey guys, look, I can pout. Yeah, I guess it's just. I mean, the thing is, it's not like I'm demotivated, Lindsay. I'm just going to keep asking like anyone I'm interested in interviewing. I imagine some of them. You know, there's plenty of female VTubers out there who have no problems like collaborating with males, right? I think from my experience so far, quite a lot of them do have a strict like no collabs with males policy, like at least on a one-on-one basis. So I mean, eventually I should find some females, right, who are open for it. I think like Girl DM has no issues with one-on-one male collabs. I reckon if I could get her attention, she'd probably be up for it. I've been trying to get Girl DM's attention for like a collab or an interview for over a year now, though. It's a problem. She's a very busy lady, so it's really difficult to get her attention, unfortunately. But yeah, Girl DM is one I definitely want to do. Have you worked on your gay voice? I don't really practice working on a gay voice, but basically my attempt at an American accent, I guess, kind of is a gay voice, right? Like, this is my American accent. All right, it's like, hey guys, I'm from America. Let's go shopping for guns. Right? That's basically a gay voice. Oh boy, do I love shooting my firearms. I hate men who can't take other men talking to their VTubers. Men need to grow up. I've kind of changed my mind on that a little bit over time. Originally, I was very much of the opinion that if you have an issue with male on stream, then you're a massive fag. However, someone, funny enough, 4chan of all places, like a 4chan, I guess, kind of like compilation video, actually had like, you know, in 4chan, you've got a bunch of like really weird schizo people who are like having complete meltdowns in the green text. But then there was one, among the schizos, there was one person who put it in a very succinct way for me that helped me actually understand their position. So the way they framed it was like, they were like, look, I'm not a unicorn, but to me, VTubing is meant to be about cute girls doing cute things. Now, the way I see VTubing is it's like, imagine you're watching the Powerpuff Girls, and then they started introducing the Rowdy Rough Boys on a regular basis into the Powerpuff Girls, and there'd be like there'd be regular episodes of the Powerpuff Girls where it'd be like Bubbles and one of the Rowdy Rough Boys doing like, you know, awkward shit together. And when it was explained to me that way, I was kind of like, oh, okay. No, I understand actually now. I understand the appeal of people who are cute girls doing cute things, purists, right? I understand their point of view. So I respect that now. But yeah, obviously, not everybody who's against male on streaming is a cute girls doing cute things purist. They are, you know, obviously very parasocial. They're in love with the VTuber, and they see having the male on stream, you know, as a threat to their beloved Oshi, who they love very much. And it's, I guess it's like, so I kind of understand that, and I definitely don't want that heat from communities, right? But then at the same time, I do kind of scratch my head and think, but even an interview would bother you? Just like a strictly business professional interview where I ask your beloved Kamiyoshi some questions that, you know, you'd probably want to know. You have a problem with that as well, really? Uncanny American, yeah. Yep, you have a British accent. That's pretty gay enough. The thing is, obviously, because I'm me and you're you, I have a very weird... Hey, Astasia, how's the Chinese? I bloody love the Chinese, Astasia. Oh, you're loaded with the cold and flu. I'm sorry to hear that, Astasia. Yeah, I've been suffering for that for quite a while as well. I think it's been going around. But, yeah, I don't know how I perceive my voice, obviously. To me... as I said before, I hate my voice personally. I think I sound like I think I unironically do sound like a stupid fag personally. But yeah, how do I sound to you guys? Do I have a deep voice? Do I have a high-pitched voice? A neutral voice? Like, what do you think of my voice? Do you think my voice is weird? How does it sound to you? VT is cancer. Yeah, VT is very fucking cancerous. For me personally, I prefer, when it comes to like VTuber discussions, I like sites like the Virtual Asylum. And I like sites like Kiwi Farms to some extent as well. I don't spend a lot of time on those kinds of sites anymore now. I haven't since I was in my 20s, because it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm at that point in my life now where I don't like, you know, talking like, you know, like mad shit about people, even if they are stupid and cringe. You know, I don't like talking. I try to avoid negativity as much as possible. I just want to, you know, focus on like the positivity and having fun of things. And what I find with, even though like the level of discussion and like the quality of content on like the VTuber area of Kiwi Farms and the Virtual Asylum is really, really good. Usually discussions often involve, you know, they always end up, you know, I guess like there's always some lolcow to like mock and insult, and sometimes conversations go into that weird territory of, I guess, like obsessively talking a bit too much about the person behind the VTuber rather than like the actual performer, right? So yeah, when I do go on Kiwi or TVA, I tend to read like a few pages of those kinds of websites every like 2-3 weeks maybe. I'm not a regular enjoyer of that content anymore. Unicorns, yeah. Mauler from EFAT. You sound like a British guy trying to sound American. I don't mean my bloody American voice. I mean my regular speaking voice I'm speaking to you right now. But again, that's the thing. This right now, this here as I'm speaking, this isn't my normal speaking voice. This is kind of a softer voice I use, so I don't blow my vocal cords out, you know, over a 3-hour stream. My natural speaking voice is actually more like this. It's slightly deeper than the way I've been speaking to you before. And I also speak much more slowly because obviously when I'm at work, I need to explain things to majors in business administration and the issues with people who are majors in business administration. You have to speak very slowly to them because they're fucking retarded, and it doesn't matter how many times you tell them something, they just never fucking get it. Whereas when I'm VTubing, I'm in a very good mood, I'm very excited, I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about, so I speak much more, I don't know, speak in a higher volume, speak very, very quickly, much lighter like this, right? Now I sound like Greg. Maulington VA. Hey, Floordimp. Hey, Floordimp, how's it going, mate? You right, buddy? Oh, I take a heater done to Glasgow, aye. I said to a cunt, I was like, oh, you're a bunch of fiddling benners, aye. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck I'm speaking now. Alternating between Scottish and Irish there. Nay reply, mate. Nay reply. You can. I feel like most of my content I like doing the variety between games and rants and presentations, but I feel like most of my style of content is closer to that of male flesh tubers. Yeah, this is the thing, Felix, right? When it comes to, I guess, the meta for male VTubing, I think that the winning formula for most male VTubers is to basically be a flesh tuber using a virtual avatar, because obviously the appeal of VTubing for many people is cute girls, you know, cute anime girls talking like fucking nonsense and doing stupid shit, right? So it's like I've said before, do you guys remember that Faith Connect coffee video I made, right? That meme coffee video I made. Now a girl could make a video like that, and if she just royally fucked up making a cup of coffee, that alone would probably get her like, you know, dozens of memberships, lots of views, and it would be clipped to no end, and she'd be memed endlessly about it, right? Because it's like, oh, look at this stupid cute girl. She can't even make a cup of coffee. Oh, God bless her. I just want to take her home and take care of her. She's so fucking useless. Whereas, as a man, obviously, if I did a stream or if I did a video, which is essentially just me fucking up making a cup of coffee, that wouldn't be cute. That wouldn't be cool. That wouldn't be good content. People would look at that and they would go, Maulington, you dumb fucking British retard. What the fuck is this stupid? What the fuck you done, you dumb fucking limey cunt? You're a fucking idiot. I'm fucking unsubscribed, unliked. If you were here right now, I'd shoot you in the throat, you fucking idiot. So kind of what I have to do as a male is frame that in a way that men would find it interesting. And how do you frame that to men instead? Well, instead of trying to be like a boy failure, the way you kind of make that appealing to men is self-deprecating humor, right? You lean into the fact that, yeah, guys, I'm a dopey fucking idiot. Look at me failing to make this cup of coffee. I'm a complete fucking retard. And, you know, you make light of it, right? You turn it into, you use some guy language, and, you know, you turn it into comedy, basically, and then boom, there you go. You're now making guy content, essentially. So it's almost like, I say almost in a way, I think many male VTubers can't really participate as such in the VTubing culture because it naturally lends itself well to, you know, just cute girls doing shit, right? But that's not necessarily a disadvantage though, because if you're a guy and you've ever had friends before, right? Then if you're a guy who's had friends before, then you should have a very good understanding as to what appeals to men, how to make men laugh, what men like. So at that point, men should have a better grasp of what men like than women do. So it just becomes a matter of being able to perform a level of content that you can appeal to those sensibilities. So I think that being a male VTuber definitely leads to far fewer opportunities than being a female VTuber. But as a male VTuber, you should have a better grasp than your female competition at how to entertain a male audience. It just becomes a case of advertising yourself and obviously producing good content that appeals to them. And the way you do that is essentially you are being a flesh tuber using a digital avatar. Right, it's like I've said before, I think for a VTuber corporation, male VTubers and VTubing corporations, except in special circumstances like Niji Sanji, it always goes really bad. Unless you're some kind of Fujo baiting, boy loving type, male VTubers always do absolutely shit relative to their female counterparts. And the reason for that is because many male corporate VTubers are basically female VTubers with a deep voice, right? They do a lot of feminine shit. They don't do much in the way of bro tubing for the most part. You've got exceptions of people like Randon, for example, and some of the Holostar EM boys. They're the exception. They're not the rule. Most corporate male VTubers, I find, are quite effeminate. And I think the winning formula for a male corporate VTuber is to essentially try to imitate like the 2011 era of Achievement Hunter, back when Ray was an Achievement Hunter, right? Back when you had Gavin, Ray, Jeff, Jack, Ryan before he was outed as a sexual predator, right? And it's not just about having a group of guys who are like the golden era of the Rooster Teeth. Oh, and Michael as well. Like, not just about having a group of guys together who are like the old Rooster Teeth sort, but also you should, I think male content creators, male VTubers should study each member of the Achievement Hunter crew and understand what the appeal of each of them is. Because each member of the old Achievement Hunter crew brought his own thing to the group dynamic, right? So you've got Jeff, for example, who was kind of like the alcoholic stoner kind of dad, right? So you've kind of got like the dad, you've got the dad guy, but he's kind of like a bit of a washout, right? He's a bit of a failure in life. He's an alcoholic, right? So he's a crazy dude. He's a dad, but he's very immature. And then you've got Gavin, right? You've got Gavin's basically the dumb comic relief nerdy type. You've got Michael, who's like the really aggressive rage gaming type. You've got Ray, who's just who's really good at games and is just like a fucking hilarious shit-stirring menace. And then you've got like Ryan and Jack, who are two different kinds of dad archetypes, right? I think that's kind of what male VTubers, at least corporate male VTubers, need to try to, I guess, kind of study and recreate is like that old school Achievement Hunter days. I miss Achievement Hunter as well, peak content. I think Achievement Hunter went to shit around about 2013. I think Papa Gundam was the very first VTuber I ever watched on the regular. Maybe that's why male VTubers don't seem odd to me. Yeah, I think the thing is, male VTubers tend to do much better as commentary channels rather than, I guess, live streaming channels, because, again, I think it's partially due to, again, the kind of psychology of men versus women. So as men, right, we're far more likely to, I guess, say things as they are and to give our honest opinions about things without trying to sugarcoat it, right? I mean, you get men who are complete pussies and can't do that, right? But it's like why Faith Connect had that little bit of a civil war going on in their first year of operations. It was because Sakana would speak to them like they were men, right? Like if Sakana had like a problem with their content or the way they were doing things, then he wouldn't like sugarcoat it, right? He wouldn't sweeten them up like you have to do with women. He would just tell them directly. He'd be like, look, here, you do this and you do this. I don't think it's good enough. I think you should improve by doing this and this, right? And that when you speak to women like that, they have a meltdown, right? They don't appreciate it. You have to frame criticism almost as a compliment. And so, yeah, I think that's why male commentary channels tend to do very well. It's because, again, the men, I guess, kind of had that psychology where they're not afraid to say things as they are, and even, I guess, potentially cause conflict and talk mad shit, right? But I mean, it's not a universal rule, because you've got groups like, like the Under the Tea podcast, for example. Those girls love talking about drama, and they don't hold their punches when they talk about some of that shit, right? But it's more consistent among male VTubers. And of course, when you're a commentary channel as well, you're not collaborating with females, so people are more likely to, cut you some slack, right? For People's Podcast early days, Travis was my favourite. Oh yeah, that was good. I like Travis as well. Yeah. Or Nick Wilde from Zootopia, or a 30-year-old man like me. Yuri actually flirted with me. Yeah, you're active in the chat, as Dad should, God bless you. Yuri's chat's quite slow, so that's one of the good things about being like a Yuri bro, right? Is that if you speak to her, she probably appreciates it as well, because obviously she's got a bilingual chat and it's not the quickest chat. So by contributing regularly, you're probably giving her content to work off of, right? That's one of the most difficult things of being a streamer, right, is finding, I guess, content to react off of for commentary's sake. So if I come into a stream with the, I guess, express purpose of wanting to yap and talk complete shit about something, I don't need you guys in here, I don't need you guys in here kind of guiding me along. As I've said before, since the age of 16, I've been having wars with myself since I was 16, right? I have been schizo rambling to myself since I was 16, and now you guys are here as my captive audience for me to fucking, for me to spurg to, so I no longer have to scream at myself anymore. However, when I'm playing video games, right, when I'm gaming, I do need a chat. I do need you guys in the chat, give me shit to work with, because I can concentrate on talking about any random dumb shit whilst concentrating on a video game. So yeah, I guess, some everyone's different in terms of as to what they need to make an interesting stream, right? Poor Jeff, his ex-wife and daughter just sucked the life out of him. Yeah. God, it's so tragic to see what happened to Jeff. I mean, it happens to so many men, I find. It almost seems like it seems to happen to every 1 in 2 men these days. Like half of men these days get divorced, they lose the kids, they lose the house, their lives get put on hold. Seeing Jeff, I guess kind of descend back into alcoholism, and to see him in tears, to see him as a broken man. Yeah, it's really tragic, that guy. He used to be so happy and full of life. God, got me depressed now, Pavlo. Poor Jeff. I swear FaZe girls are in a competition for most depraved hippie outs. Yeah, it's kind of become the thing these days. It's almost like, have you guys ever seen the first Space Jam movie where the monsters like steal the talent from the NBA players and then they absorb the energy, right? They absorb the talents from the NBA players to become the monsters. It's almost kind of like something like that's kind of happened almost with like Pippa and Tenma, kind of, right? Not that I'm saying that Pippa and Tenma have lost any talent, they haven't, but what I'm saying is, right, is that over the years both Pippa and Tenma have, I guess, gone from being very intense characters, and both of them have mellowed out quite a lot. I mean, they've mellowed out a lot, right? What I mean is they've mellowed out. They're not mellow, okay? I'm not saying that the two of them are like really calm idol types now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they're less intense than they were a couple years ago. And it almost seems like that intensity that was around Tenma and Pippa has been spread like around the rest of FaZe Connect now, particularly Generation 2. Like, you've got fucking Jerry these days. Jerry used to be a say-so. Jerry used to be a say-so Vtuber who never said a swear word, and now these days she's going on rants about DEI and woke shit in games. Like, Jerry's doing borderline cursor streams these days about the state of video game development. You've got Panko is becoming quite loose and bold with the slurs and the vaguely racist comments, right? Rie is making shorts now where she's baiting saying the N-word. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh shit. I'm pretty sure I do have this bookmarked somewhere. Hang on. I've got to show you this Rie short. It's fucking absolutely obscene, this short she did. She was baiting saying the N-word in this short. It's fucking funny. Hang on, let me see if I can find it for you quickly. Where did I save it? I think, no, it's not a normal. I didn't save it into the FaZe Connect documentary list. I think I saved it in my private playlist collection. But I'll find it for you guys later. Maybe I'll do it on the next stream or something. But there was Rie did a short, and this short was like reading a bunch of words to completion, right? So it would be like, there'd be like 4 words that were half completed, right? So there'd be like ma and like da, and then there'd be like fa, right? So you'd have like ma, then da, and fa. And as you read down the list of words, it'd be like the first word is maggot, then the second word is like daggett, and then the third word is like, nugget, and then the final word, right, is fa. So naturally you assume that you think, oh shit, is Rie gonna say faggot? And then it goes, and then it like bait switches you at the last second, right? So it doesn't say faggot, it says something else completely different. And then after that one, right, it's like the next slide of like this short is, again, now it has like a word and I, right? So it's like DI or like, GI. And then the final word is NI, right? And again, it's like digger, right? And then it's like bigger. And then it gets to the NI and it's like, Rie, don't fucking say that word. Yeah, like NI, like, no, Rie, don't say it. Oh, dear. Yeah, like trigger, example here. Now I need to start watching Jerry. Yeah, I think Jelly is becoming the most openly based person in FaZe Connect these days. Back when Lumi was in, the rhyming one, that's it, Alucard. That's the one. That short is wild, isn't it? It's really good. I really enjoyed it. But I would have said about a year ago. Well, I don't know. I think if Cyberlive era Lumi were around today, then Lumi would be the most openly based VTuber in FaZe Connect. However, I think Lumi over the years has severely dialed down how openly and regularly based she is, but she still does have her moments where it's like a blinker. It's like a blink and you miss it moment, right? Where she says something and it's like, whoa, whoa, Lumi, fucking hell, you can't say that. But I think I would have said at one point that Lumi was. I think Lumi's probably the most secretly based person in FaZe Connect, but Jelly, I think these days is the most openly based person in FaZe Connect. You saw it as well, Hobo. The rhyme was really good. Yeah, you already know what short I mean. Yeah, it's really good. Jelly on a collab, you're gonna make me say it. Yeah. FaZe managers spend most time drinking coffee, not managing their talents. Well, I mean, you joke about that though, right? But a big part of what makes FaZe Connect so successful, particularly its management, is that They have like weekly one-to-ones with their managers where they're free to like talk about any issues they have. They look at the analytics, right? And when you have like regular communications with your managers, they listen and they actually, you know, do shit for you. Unlike Niji Sanji, then unsurprisingly, that's going to lead to a very motivated and a very loyal workforce, right? Who are unlikely to have any problems, right? You can't really have any cliques develop when, you know, you've got management checking in with you every week to see if you're okay and to, I guess, kind of like discuss any problems you might be having. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was Rie or whether it was Sheena, but I'm pretty sure in a stream at one point, either Rie or Sheena did mention that in the past, actually some of the Faith Connect girls actually did seriously, unironically, like have issues with other members of like the organization. Like they had like a falling out or disagreement or a problem with something. And then management got involved, right? It wasn't like a slap on the wrist kind of thing, but they like had management, you know, got them all together. You know, they had a chance to talk everything out. And then, you know, they all went back to it, you know, being professional and civil with one another. And that's exactly the way you have to manage any kind of business, right? You can't do what Niji Sanji does, where you make one of the talents essentially like the manager for the region and give her carte blanche to do whatever the fuck she wants with her band of mean girls, right? Because that's a huge conflict of interest, and that leads to obviously a mass exodus of your talents eventually as they get sick of all the abuse they receive. Lumi turned over time into woman tuber, not a gamer tuber. Yeah, again, I hate to keep fucking schizo posting about Lumi, but you're right, Crive. It's a kind of, I first started watching Lumi because of, obviously she basically mostly just play, you know, sci-fi games and shit, right? She'd play a lot of XCOM, she'd play stuff like Homeworld, you know, she'd play a lot of sci-fi and nerdy games, and then she'd have her just chatting streams, she'd do a little bit of a role playing, and she was just, you know, just a fun, nerdy woman, right? Old Lumi was basically one of the boys, but a female, essentially. Like, she's like one of the nerds, she's one of the nerdy boys, but a female. And then, you know, kind of over time, she's massively like evolved and developed her skill set. I'm very happy to see where she is now. She's more successful than she's ever been. She seems happier than she's ever been now. She's definitely much happier than she was at Cyberlife. And I'm happy to, and she's objectively, I guess, a better entertainer than she was back then as well. But it's always, you know, like, it's like with your favorite show, right? It's like, I started watching the Lumi show, let's say, for three specific things. I started watching Lumi because I just wanted to watch her play, you know, cool sci-fi games and shit. I liked listening to her music, and I liked her like fun, you know, quite down to earth and sometimes silly and funny, just chatting streams where she would bounce, you know, off a chat, right? And then these days, I guess she's a very aggressive Stacey kind of VTuber these days. She loves a good yap with a bunch of the white girls, you know, and she does a whole broad range of other stuff now. And it's kind of like, that's not really what, I'll go see what Tenma's up to today, I think, right? She's playing, oh my god, she's playing Dwarf Fortress today though. Oh my god, she finally fucking, I've been begging her to play Dwarf Fortress for fucking months, for a year in fact, actually. I've been begging Lumi to play Dwarf Fortress for a year, holy fuck. Oh my god, let's end the fucking stream so I can watch Dwarf Fortress. Fucking hell yeah. Is she playing adventure mode or is she playing the regular mode? Which version of Dwarf Fortress is she playing? She said a year ago, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember a year ago she said that she was very unlikely to ever play Dwarf Fortress again because she wasn't having a good time playing it. She had a schedule for the entire year. I remember seeing this last November. She said she wasn't going to play it again. She fucking lied, right? I've been begging her to play Dwarf Fortress ever since the Lumi video I made. Did she play Diablo 4 recently? She did, but Diablo 4 is shit though. Who the fuck wants to watch a Diablo 4 playthrough? Shit game. You guys seen the trailers for Path of Exile 2? Now that looks like a fucking good game. I can't wait to play Path of Exiles 2. She was playing adventure modes. Oh my gosh, fucking okay. You know what? I take back everything I said about Lumi. She is very solidly my Kamiyoshi again. Lumi is best girl. Lumi love. Okay, Lumi is best girl. Lumi has already said that when Civ 7 comes out, she'll be doing. Ooh, Dizzy squeezing in on my Oshi there. Fucking hell, I might have to make Dizzy a new Oshi. The begging worked. Great victory for beggars everywhere. Hell yeah. Path of Exile 2, maybe re-download the first game. Made me re-download the first game as well, Ninja Muffin. I don't know why I bought Diablo 4. I bought Diablo 4. It was like 100 Great British pounds, and then I only ended up putting 2 hours into it. I knew I wasn't going to play Diablo 4, and I bought it anyway. I don't know why I don't learn my lesson. Hey, we should play How many players can join the lobby in Path of Exile 2? We should get a Phase Connect Path of Exile 2 games going on at some point. Oh, do you know what would be really fun? Like a Phase Connect Community Europa Universalis 4 game would be great. Like imagine a lobby of like 200 Phase Connect fans playing EU4. That'd be hilarious. Oh, I was watching Lumi play the Red Alert 2 campaigns, and I did watch her Command and Conquer Generals campaign. I did watch her finish Factorio. The Factorio playthroughs are always based. I fucking love watching people play Factorio. But yeah, I think the problem is that ever since I've become a content creator myself, I really don't have time to watch my favorite VTubers as much as I used to anymore. Sadly, because obviously I need to go scurrying around looking at what other VTubers are up to for the sake of the Phase Connect documentary. I need to go studying in the deep archives of 4chan, TVA, and obviously the viewers' channels as well, to find some spicy shit that's since been deleted, right? So yeah, I'm just really busy at the moment working on my projects, unfortunately. To me, Diablo 4 looks like Diablo 3, which I've already played quite a bit, so I felt no need to buy it. Yeah, I think I was just really bored at the time, to be honest. I was just really bored and just wanted something to play at the time to alleviate my boredom. Did any of the Phase girls play Oxygen Not Required? Yeah, I would have thought that Jerry and Lumi would have played Oxygen Not Required, but I don't recall the two of them ever playing those games. That ending Factorio stream was funny as fuck. Lumi was here, it was. Oh god, I remember when she, yeah, so obviously Lumi had started that Factorio playthrough when she was still in Cyberlife, so that was quite a nostalgic stream to watch as well, because it's like, I remember the first day Lumi started playing Factorio. And it's like, hey, after 3 years, she's finally got that fucking rocket in the sky. It's about bloody time. Leah, meanwhile, is trying to convert all of Phase Connect to play Final Fantasy XIV. What should like Phase Connect raid together on Final Fantasy XIV would be a mood, wouldn't it? You should leave your job for that documentary, for real. Yeah, I think the problem is, Krivus, is that trying to get the entire script and getting all the research done in its entirety first before beginning production on it, I don't think it's really not helping me. So what I'm planning to do in the near future is certainly within the next 2-3 weeks, I plan to basically complete the first year of Phase Connect's history, which I think that would be about an hour and 20 minutes long or so, if not more. I believe it would take. That would be in video length. And then once I've completed the first year of Phase Connect, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a stream, right, on here on my channel. I'm going to stream it to you all, right? I'm going to we're going to have a special night, right, where I'm going to show the work I've done show the first year that I've done on Phase Connect, on the Phase Connect documentary, and then you guys can obviously take a look at it, give me some feedback, tell me what you think if there's anything I'm missing, if there's anything you don't like, and then hopefully if I've actually got the first year of Phase Connect in actually produced and in a live video that you can watch, then that should help me get the rest of the documentary done in time. Because the problem I'm having with the Phase Connect documentary at the moment is committing, I guess, the number of hours I need to get it out there. Because as you can imagine, right, Phase Connect has 30 VTubers. Well, 29. I mean, I'm looking at Yuri's history as well, right? So it is 30 talents I'm studying currently. So I'm trying to study the careers of 30 talents. I'm trying to remember, like, a lot of Phase Connect's history has been HAL purged because it is too yab and Sakana demanded the VODs were deleted. So I'm going through like 4chan and other dodgy websites to try and get like the rundown of some of the yab stuff to determine what I should and shouldn't include, some stuff that I've missed obviously from the streams and the VODs. And as you can imagine, right, like, I come home from work, and the first thing I do when I come home from work is I'm now faced with the idea of spending the next 3 to 4 hours like studying old VODs, clips, you know, reading through Reddit, scouring through the channel, you know, scouring through the talents channels, And you know, some days I come in and I'm like, I just don't want to put any work into this documentary because I'm just sick of doing all this research and all this script writing for it. But I think that if I get the first year out, have something done, and then show it to people, then that should hopefully give me like the momentum to keep going and get it out there, right? I think that should help with things. Yeah, oxygen not included. Yeah. I wasn't really interested in Leah before I planned she Fade 14. She actually understands my username. Yeah, you know, it wasn't until I did the Leah video myself a year ago that I didn't really, I was never really interested in Leah. At first, my first kind of impression of Leah was that she was some kind of weird Zoomer girl who said like dumb Zoomer shit to appeal to Zoomers. So I thought, I'm gonna hate, you know, like studying Leah and trying to get the rundown on her. But obviously, if there are any Leah likers, if there are any Leah cons in the chat, you like Leah. When I started watching like Leah content for the video, she actually ended up being one of my favorite members of Face Connect. Funny enough, I think Leah's definitely my favorite Zatsudan streamer. Like, she's my favorite streamer who does talking streams. Leah has this magical ability where she can talk about something for 2-3 hours, and that 2-3 hours feels like 2 minutes. It was crazy. I watched the first Zatsudan I watched of Leah. I didn't take any notes whatsoever because I was so captivated in listening to what she was saying, right? Just listening to her yap about shit. When it was over, I was like, oh fuck, I was enjoying that so much. I didn't actually note anything down. Fuck, now I've got to watch it again. What was the funniest yab you remember or found? Oh, that's a good one. What is the funniest yab you remember or found? The funniest yab I remember is Lumi. It's a Lumi clip. I imagine many of you guys probably know the one. It's the Lumi clip where she talks about one time when she was walking down the streets of New York City and she was being catcalled by a bunch of construction workers. And apparently there was this. She didn't say this outright, but she implied, right? She implied that there was a black woman like on the street as well, who was offended and jealous that Lumi was being catcalled by these construction workers. And so this black woman apparently screamed at the construction workers, asking why they were hollering after this white bitch with no ass or something. It was something like that, right? And then Lumi was very angry when having this black woman like talk mad shit about her ass. And so Lumi said that she turned around and she said something to this black woman that if she were to repeat out loud, we would all call her based for saying it, right? I wonder what did Lumi mean by this? What did Lumi mean? What did she say to this lady, I wonder? Right? That's probably my favorite one. That's my favorite thing she's ever said. Please do another video where you just include every single yab. Yeah, I get the problem is, Graph, though, is I don't want to be a drama tuber though. Like I don't want to be a drama tuber. I don't want to get people into, you know, I don't want people to get the wrong idea of the talents. Right? I don't want to open up old wounds in the community as well. It's not just the talents I care about. I do care about their communities as well, and I don't want to open up old wounds that will like upset the community, right? So I'm very conscious about that stuff, but then there is some stuff that does need to be said, right? So in the Face Connect documentary, I will be talking about, you know, like I will be talking about Ethan Ralph. I'll be talking about the Skinwalker incident with Lumi. I'll be talking about stuff like that. I won't be bringing up Kumalot in the Face Connect documentary because of some of the shit Kumalot did, but I will briefly mention Sakana and the Rekieta Law collab that he torpedoed. I will be talking about shit like that. I will be talking about people like Henry and Lumi's hand schizo as well. But there's stuff that I don't want to talk about in the Face documentary because it will really upset people. Stuff like Liat Nam, for example. I'm not going to bring up Liat Nam, and I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going to bring up Kumalot, right? I'll leave those two things out. And yeah, there might be one or two other things I'll leave out. But obviously, we're going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy a lot. Good old Hogwarts Legacy. Leah, oh yeah, God. You know, I never was able to watch that Leah talking about Chris Chan stream. Unfortunately, it got nuked, and I don't know where I can watch it. Maybe Archive Bro has it. I wonder if Archive Bro has the Chris Chan thing. I've never seen it. What's Vietnam? Yeah, exactly. I'm not telling you what Vietnam is. I'm not telling you what Vietnam is. It's actually, Vietnam is the worst thing, I think, that's ever happened to Face Connect. But, yeah, it's one of those things that, yeah, people won't appreciate being brought up again since everyone's moved on since then. Leah is cool. Leah is very cool. She's a very powerful yapper. She speaks her mind without thinking. And you'll never, by the way, don't even try. You'll never find out what Vietnam is either. You won't find it anywhere. In order to know what that is, if you don't know already, you'd have to ask an OG Leah liker, and they won't tell you shit unless you're like a trusted person. So yeah, that secret's dying with me and the Leah and the old school Leah likers. I'm afraid you won't find out what that is anywhere. Leah's stream right after the NYC anime concert was really sweet. Yeah, it was, right. She was in tears, bless her, and yeah, she was obviously really appreciative about all the support she got. Something Rie friend to say in that short. Yeah, Leah. Would you talk about? I am talking about Yuri. Yeah, and I will be talking about the Yuri stuff. I'll be talking about Yuri's career in Phase Connect before the termination, and also there'll be a separate segment just on Yuri herself. Especially if Niji Sisters, that's an aloof thing. That's a dangerous thing to bring back. Yeah, exactly. It's not. I mean, it's just not a good. It's not a good thing to bring back with anyone, really. Yeah, but if you don't do it, all these clips may be lost forever. Maybe place it on a different channel. I don't know. I'll think about it, Graph. I'll think about it. Quite rightly torpedoed. No need to bring up that dickhead. He doesn't deserve a mention, right? And some of the shit he did is quite bad. It literally does. There's no public good for bringing that up again, and you don't want to give him any attention, right? No one wants to go through the Kumalat saga again. Lumi said the name of a certain Kriegsmarine. Lumi said the name of a certain Kriegsmarine submarine that cannot be repeated. Yeah. Can we find it by just looking up Vietnam? No, you can't. And don't bother asking the Leah likers either. They'll tell you to fuck off. Did you get to interview Yuri? No, actually, I forgot to ask Yuri. Funny enough, I will. I'll send Yuri a message after the stream. See if she's up for it. Not sure how a cat's supposed to tell you about that stuff. If it's really that destructive, then yeah, all good, man. I appreciate you won't go to sensitive. Yeah, if it's really sensitive, I won't talk about it. Absolutely not. Like as I said, as much as I'm covering for Phase Connect a little bit, right? But I won't be holding punches with, as I said, I won't be holding punches with the Skinwalker incident, Hogwarts Legacy, Ethan Ralph. You know, I'll be talking neutrally about that shit, even though obviously, you know, I personally don't think Pippa. I unironically don't think Pippa has ever said or done anything wrong, bad ever, in my opinion. But, you know, for the sake of neutrality, for the sake of a fair discourse on Phase Connect's history, I have to, I guess, kind of meet the V-tweeters and the SJWs a little bit in the middle and say, yeah, you know what, maybe Pippa and some of the other Phase VTubers maybe shouldn't have done or said certain things. I don't think, objectively speaking, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having streamed Hogwarts Legacy, like I said in the Pippa documentary, but there's some, I guess, language and behavior that was said by Pippa and Tenma during the Hogwarts Legacy thing, which is, if we're being honest, is quite unacceptable for a corporate VTuber to say, right? So I have to throw him a bone there and talk about that shit, right? Kind of sad I didn't get to be an OG liker. Yeah, okay. I guess I'll show you when I've got like this this first segment of the documentary done. So in the first segment of the documentary, I'm going to be going into the career history of Phase Origins, right, Generation 1. So I will complete with clips, give you the history of what it was like to be a day one Leah liker to her journey to where she is now, essentially, right? Oh, was this a doxer? Are you talking about Kumalot, Lindsay? Yeah, so Kumalot didn't dox anyone in Phase Connect, but Kumalot pretended he doxed Pippa. And even though he didn't actually dox anyone in Phase Connect, when you have this attention-seeking, faggot who thinks it's funny to, pretend he's doxed someone and cause a lot of drama and is like harassing talents together with and like talking mad shit about them together with Ricciata Law. Obviously, I think people forget that Ricciata Law and Kumalot spent like months after they were told to fuck off, like talking mad shit about Pippa and FaZe Connect. And it just doesn't do anyone good, right, to bring that stuff up again. Particularly when you've got someone who thinks it's fucking funny to like dox a random person and then say like, oh look, this is Pippa at my house. Hey guys, Pippa's sleeping at my house. Look, here she is. It's like, come on, man. Like, what a fucking faggy thing to do, right? To give people like that attention. I really liked Yuri as well, Gref. I liked Yuri. Obviously, I was a Cyberlife fan before I was a FaZe Connect fan. I watched when Cyberlife was around. I watched Lumi, Yuri, Pandora, and I watched a little bit of Umiya Emma as well when she came in. And yeah, that was it. Oh, you know what? How about I throw you guys a little bone about some, I guess, VTuber drama? Who wants to know what really happened behind Cyberlife? Who wants to know the truth of the rats of the rumors about what happened with the Cyberlife closure? Anyone interested in that? Anyone even know what the fuck Cyberlife is? I can tell you about that. Because that's not really destructive. I found Leah really late, but she quickly became my favourite. Yeah, I wouldn't say Leah's my favourite, but she's definitely in my top 10. I have no idea why Camelot was such a tard. Rekia today was just a joggy of alcohol problems. I guess it's kind of like fucking like internet does like weird brainworm stuff to people sometimes. Even for some reason, even I get like weirdly cocky and arrogant when I'm like streaming for some reason. I don't know, it's just a weird thing. Lumi ruined it, like 4chan says. No, actually, Lumi's, well, I wouldn't say Lumi's innocent as such. We have no evidence to suggest Lumi did anything. So as far as we're aware, she is completely innocent. But given how Lumi is, I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe a little bit of naughtiness. So I guess to give you the history as to what happened with Cyberlife. So as I said, I was a Cyberlife fan. I was there at the time, but obviously I was in the company, so I wasn't a talent. So I can't tell you with absolute certainty what happened. But I can tell you, I guess, being in the Discords at the time and like seeing all the drama from the communities, I can give you my interpretation of events, and I can tell you a bit about the evidence that was shown at the time, that there are screenshots to prove as well. So basically what happened with Cyberlife is Cyberlife was an okay VTuber organization. They had good talent, Cyberlife. But the issue with Cyberlife is that essentially they basically ran out of money. Unfortunately, they weren't able to operate at a loss for as long as they had been, like FaZe Connect had. Remember, FaZe Connect had been operating at a loss for about over 2 years, 2 and a bit years itself as well. So basically what happened is Cyberlife ran out of money and they made a gamble to try and get their money back. And unfortunately, the gamble didn't pay it off. So Cyberlife's gamble to go green and to stave off closure was to debut a second wave and hope that the intrigue and the addition of extra talents into the organization would essentially put them in the green, right? I mean, it's something that Sakana, it's probably what happened with Cyberlife. It's probably what really reinforced Sakana in his interviews to always mention how it's retarded to bring in new waves of VTubers, hoping that would like put you in the green, right? But unfortunately, Cyberlife debuted a second wave. And the second wave basically started making them hemorrhage money even faster than they were already, so they couldn't stay around anymore. And basically what happened is that because there was no more money, everybody saw that the writing was on the wall. So managers started leaving Cyberlife, and for some reason or another, Lumi found herself inheriting a management position in Cyberlife. So again, you've got this weird situation now where a talent is now the manager of a VTuber corporation at the same time. So she has, technically speaking, power over the other VTubers in her, not just the generation, but also the people in generation 2. So basically what happened is because Cyberlife was dying and the management was absentee, basically, as you can imagine, it's not a very nice situation to be in, and the talents started to turn on each other. And it became a really nasty Mean Girls kind of thing where they were all talking mad shit behind each other's backs. It was not just driven by the writing on the wall and seeing the inevitable downfall of the VTuber corporation, which meant they would soon be finding themselves as independents, right, with no corporation backing them anymore. And they were all talking mad shit about each other behind each other's backs. They were talking mad shit about Lumi. They were number fagging hard as well. We have no evidence to suggest Lumi was talking any mad shit about anyone. Lumi is completely squeaky clean in any of these screenshots, and I guess like the events that were going on. And basically what happened is once the talents had started turning on each other, obviously their army of simps joined in as well, right? So because Milady was talking mad shit about some of the other VTubers in Cyberlive, obviously their simps would get involved and start helping their Oshi to start talking mad shit and harass the other talents as well. And Lumi got singled out by some of the Cyberlive talents because she was by far Cyberlive's most popular VTuber. And that didn't sit right with a lot of them because Lumi actually started off as one of the weaker talents of Cyberlive. And then over time, particularly once she started doing Warhammer 40k content, that really, really fucking boosted Lumi's profile. So she ended up like mogging some of the other Cyberlife talents big time, and that really fucking pissed them off. And then when you compound that with the fact that obviously as management is all fucking off and the company's about to collapse, they started to blame Lumi for like all their problems basically. Like Lumi is very limited in what she could do for them. There was no money, there was no support. She herself was a talent and she was at the time doing her master's degree. So essentially the downfall of Cyberlife was caused by monetary collapse. They just didn't have the money to continue anymore. And as management fucked off, basically the talents were left to themselves. They devolved into a bunch of mean girls talking mad shit about each other and starting drama. And because they were doing it, their simps got involved and their simps started attacking each other, started attacking each other's communities. And basically Yuri and Lumi saw the writing was on the wall, so they messaged Sakana directly to ask for a job. They wanted to know if it would be possible for them to join Cyberlive. So, and Fishman, obviously, as we all know, was happy to accept the both of them with their IPs. The two of them left Cyberlife before it collapsed in its entirety, and Lumi and Yuri could wash their hands of all the drama that was going on with Cyberlife, right? Emma was involved, you're right, Cade. Pandora and Emma were involved in the bitchiness of Cyberlife. They were. However, to Emma's credit, after a little bit of Emma, I guess, pitching out some of the other talents, she kind of very quickly just held her hands up and said, look, I'm not going to get involved in any more drama. Like, Cyberlife is fucked. You know, I'm just going to move on with my life now. Some of them really didn't let it go, and some of them hold grudges and resentment to this day. And the reason why some people in 4chan obviously talk about Lumi ruining everything and Lumi being the cause of the Cyberlife downfall is its typical schizo behavior, right? They've got no evidence to prove this. All they've got is, you know, he said, she said, and rumors. So they just out of blind hatred just believe the rumors, and you know they continue to parrot the narrative that Lumi's bad, even though there is no one to this day. So many people, Cyberlife talents, and like mega simps, like mega whales from these old communities have tried to come forward to say that Lumi is this horrible, nasty, mean person who brought the entire organization down. None of them have receipts, right? And that's, again, it's not outside the realm of possibility that maybe Lumi could be kind of bitchy, egotistical, get involved in that kind of shit as well. Not impossible, but there's not one single receipt to prove that she did, and that obviously should tell you something, because there are always receipts. So the fact that there's no receipts about Lumi being engaged in bad behavior even means that Lumi is so Machiavellianly intelligent that she was able to do this shit without getting it in writing anywhere, without making sure to leave like a trace in writing, or people are making shit up, right? So based on what we know, they're probably making shit up because they were jealous, unironically jealous that Lumi was more popular and pretty than they are. And that's basically how Cyberlife collapsed. Lumi's too much of a doofus for that. I don't know, GD. She's a very determined and intelligent lady, is Lumi. She's the kind of person who doesn't. She's the kind of person, I think, Lumi, who doesn't waste her time with people or organizations that have no value to her, right? I don't see Lumi as being the kind of person who wastes her time with stuff of no value to her. And as she said herself as well, she doesn't like being around stagnant people who don't really have any get up and go. So I could quite easily see the possibility that she would just look out for herself and think, fuck it, I'm out of here, I don't care, right? Because of the collapse of cyberlife. She's very evil and very smart. Yeah, I mean, I believe that Lumi's genuinely a very pleasant and lovely lady. I don't think she's a bad person whatsoever. But again, you just have to remember, though, that people who are very ambitious, very determined, those kind of people, they do care about themselves first and foremost, and they don't waste their time with people who have nothing to offer them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's funny enough, if that is the way she is, and I respect her more for it, quite frankly. The realization that she actually understands shit is very surprising. Yeah, I'm surprised that people fail to understand that Lumi is actually quite a very intelligent person. I didn't believe for 1 minute that she was ever actually genuinely a tard. She's just airheaded. Sometimes she just says shit without thinking it through properly. Yeah, she's talked before about how quickly she can cut things off like a light switch. Kind of based, actually, yeah. Yeah, Lumi's very intelligent, but she gets it in her head sometimes that she has a pride. Yeah, she has a bit of an ego, does Lumi. I mean, everyone's allowed to have a bit of an ego. I have an ego at times as well. It's again, if you're a very ambitious person, if you're a very determined person, you want to get on and be successful in life, that does require some form of an ego. Yeah, I mean, Lumi's done a lot behind the scenes in Faith Connect as well, by the way. Like, Lumi did a lot of management stuff behind the scenes in Cyberlife. She did a lot of work behind the scenes she's done a lot behind the scenes in Faith Connect as well. She's, not too long ago, she recently mentioned the fact that she doesn't really get voluntold by Sakana to do that much anymore, which she's quite grateful for since more people came in. But yeah, many of the Faith Connect talents, particularly those with skills, people like Sheena and Clara, for example, they've got rigging and art skills that they contribute towards Faith Connect. And I believe Sakana doesn't pay them for that extra work either. So it's kind of like they do it, but they don't get paid extra for it. So yeah, people like Lumi are like, oh, thank God, I don't have to do that anymore since I don't get paid extra for it. Let's remember that Leah said Lumi encouraged her to continue. Surely the most evil thing she's done. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I think people tend to overly focus on what they perceive to be the negative parts of a person's character, right? So again, kind of like the whole point behind the Pippa documentary is that when I look at Pippa, I see both sides of her. So I was kind of like low-key annoyed, I guess, by some Kapipis who see Pippa as their precious angel who doesn't do any wrong. And I was also annoyed, obviously, at the people who don't even watch Pippa and think she's some kind of like problematic, grifting Nazi. Right? I look at both sides of that and I was like, both of you have got Pippa wrong. Right? So for the Kapipis who think that Pippa's a good girl who didn't do nothing, it's like, well, no, hang on a minute. No, Pippa deliberately causes drama and brings attention to herself sometimes. She does do it. She deliberately baits people to get pissed off at her on the internet. She does know what she's doing. She says sometimes, she's like, I have a bad filter and that sometimes I struggle to understand what isn't acceptable. I do agree with that. I struggle with that sometimes myself as well. But there are many times when she has knowingly and deliberately baited a hostile reaction from the internet because she knows exactly what she's doing. So she can't cry that some of the hatred she's got is completely unwarranted, right? But then I also find that sometimes people overly focus on the crazy shit she does and she says, but then it's like that's not just what Pippa is. She also does, obviously, Pippa does a lot to, I guess, kind of like uplift and support smaller VTubers. Pippa is loyal to a fault towards her friends, right? She always aggressively defends Kirsha. She aggressively defended Filion from Jacksepticeye, or whatever the fuck his name was, that reaction commentary guy, I forget his name. And even though she didn't really know Pikami or Silver Veil, she came in swinging to defend those two people she quite liked when they were being harassed during Hogwarts Legacy. Obviously, Pippa knows that her fan base, that there's a very large parasocial element of her fan base who hang on her every word, and instead of using that influence she has over her fan base to, I guess, like milk them off of like every dollar they have, like a lot of VTubers do, like particularly people like Vox and the boy love betas, right? They tend to deliberately foster that parasocial relationship to milk their viewers out of all their cash. Instead, Pippa tends to, encourage you to get off the fucking internet, stop watching her, and go out there and actually, accomplish something with your lives, right? So Pippa's a very, I guess, positive source into encouraging, I guess, chronic VTuber fans to not waste their lives sat indoors all day watching VTubers. And then she also makes a good effort in, I guess, talking the actual schizos on 4chan to stop being 4chan schizos, right? And I guess to kind of, learn to love themselves and like apply themselves in life, right? Kind of like Z's, right? Like we're all gonna make it, bros, kind of thing. Pippa does a lot of Jack's films, that's it. Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with Vox. Well, here's the thing, Graph. I don't actually dislike Vox personally, despite everything that's happened. In a sordid sort of way, I actually respect Vox being just unashamedly about like the grind and being popular. It's like, yeah. I mean, Vox is an entertainer here to do a job and make money. So, yeah, I mean, all the power to him if that's all he cares about. I think that's something that kind of annoys me a little bit about VTubing sometimes. I understand wanting to be protective and wanting to, look after, I guess, kind of like preserve some lovey-dovey, feels element of VTubing. But ultimately, VTubers are entertainers. Corporate VTubers are just here to like hoover your fucking money. Most of them probably don't even genuinely probably don't actually give a shit about who you are whatsoever. They don't remember who you are. They're just here to do a job and make money, right? And it's kind of annoying sometimes to see almost like communist ramblings from VTuber fans who are like, "Oh, you nasty evil company! How dare you, do this thing to my Oshi?" And it's like, well, in the Jisanji's case, definitely they're a black company. They're out of order. But sometimes it's like, look, man, they're just trying to run a business and they're just people doing a job, right? Like, just fucking settle down, okay? Pippa recently talked about turning down the life-changing deal she was offered. Mr. Beast. Oh, there's Mr. Beast exposed stream. But it is very unethical. Considering her background, I think it's very commendable. Yeah, exactly, right? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Pippa has, on numerous occasions, people from HoloLive love Pippa. Like, everybody who's ever interacted with Pippa, anyone who's ever done a collab with Pippa, can't say enough nice things about how much of a helpful, lovely, kind person she is, which is very telling, right? There's not very many VTubers out there who have such a glowing appraisal from their colleagues. So, yeah, Pippa can be like the schizo-based stinky 4chan yabbit who says the naughty shit that upsets the V-tweeters and the cute girls doing cute girls purists as well. Obviously, don't forget people who are VTubing, I guess, purists, idol purists, don't like Pippa either, because Pippa is sometimes she's a vaguely political person, and, like the purists don't like Westerners bringing politics into VTubing. They don't like Pippa either, but she's much more complicated than that. If you want to have like a fair assessment of Pippa, you have to look at both sides of it, right? Not just focus on the one thing. And funnily enough, it's really annoying because Pippa's such a fucking complicated content creator. I have to give her like a disproportionately long summary in the Faith Connect documentary in order to give people like a proper understanding of her journey as a content creator, right? So like Tenma and Leah, I could do that in 5-6 minutes. With Pippa, I have to spend like fucking 10 minutes explaining to people what Pippa's like because she's just so fucking complicated. We actually have no idea who is genuine and who is in it for the money. I think the thing is, right, is that everybody is in it because they're either in. I don't think any VTuber gets into VTubing for the money, but their primary goal is usually to become a stage singing idol, or it's to become it's to basically almost have a quasi professional music career, right? They want to have covers and original songs produced. They want to get on stage and be idols. Like Rie Himemiya's primary reason for VTubing is she obviously she didn't make it as a K-pop idol, so VTubing is the next best thing for her. She wants to be a stage performing idol, right? That's all she wants out of VTubing. And I imagine, given how much hard work Rie puts into her stuff and how much she regularly updates stuff, there's no reason to think that Rie genuinely loves her community and she's really grateful. And I guess she kind of like operates in the purest traditions of idol culture, right? So Rie's definitely in it for the love of VTubing. I think definitely Pippa's definitely in it for the love of VTubing. Obviously, when we take a look at stuff like Flavor, some of the other streams she's done, you know, the way she reacts to VTubers getting called out by the Twitter mob, how she is always like following and keeping up to date with small VTubers who have interesting niches. She's very clearly a person who's very, very passionate about VTubing, so she genuinely loves the culture. But yeah, I imagine some people are in VTubing essentially because they just want to be some kind of musical artist or idol, right? And some people genuinely learn to, I guess, kind of like love and appreciate the fans, but I imagine there's quite a lot of people as well who actually don't care about you whatsoever. They pretend they do, and they actually find you quite creepy and gross, right? That's always the thing that I think that's kind of like probably one of the biggest things that's always going on in my head whenever I'm watching a VTuber, right? It's particularly with Lumi. When I watch Lumi, right, I know, like, you know how, I guess, kind of like normie and girly Lumi can be. I kind of watch Lumi sometimes and I think, I always do wonder, does Lumi actually, you know, genuinely love her community and her fan base, or does she actually secretly find this, like, does she find the people who gush Lumi love and send her lots of money, right? Does she find her whales and dolphins like disgusting? Does she find them creepy and disgusting? Or does she actually like them? Does she love, I guess, the idol fan culture, if that makes sense? I always do wonder when I watch a VTuber, I always do like looking at them and wondering, does this person actually appreciate the fans? Or I wonder if they're actually, you know, creeped out and grossed out by the fans. That's always something I do like to, I guess think about and try to decipher from their facial expressions. Pippa's obsessive over VTubing. Yeah, I mean, I think most of us here are obsessive over VTubing. I'm fucking obsessive over VTubing. I think this is so much fun. I think oh my god, it's 11:30. I'm half an hour over stream time. Oh, I'll keep going on this tangent. But yeah, I think that people talk about the golden age of VTubing ending, and I disagree with this. I don't think we've even really properly hit the bronze age of VTubing yet. I think Doobie is the person who has just discovered the bronze age of VTubing. So my grand plan, my grand vision of VTubing is that eventually VTubing will become like a kind of almost like Netflix, but with obviously independent content creators using using high fidelity, seamless 3D models to create real life shows, right? So I kind of see the end goal of VTubing to basically almost be like kind of like Ready Player One kind of thing almost, right? But instead of it being, you know, virtual reality as a viewer, it's almost like instead of watching whatever normie slop is on TV, right, like the late night show with Jimmy Fallon, instead you watch like the late night show with Lord Maulington, right, the fucking like 3D, you know, like game shows with VTubers, and they're basically putting on normie shows, but it's all 3D, right? That's kind of my long-term vision of VTubing, that VTubing will almost become like a digital, if not digital anime mirror reflection of current like flesh content, essentially. I'm worried about Clara sometimes. I really love Clara, but I'm concerned about how attached she is to her community. Yeah, I think Clara herself has said that she genuinely is a little bit mentally ill. But I wouldn't worry too much, Lindsay, because Faith Connect is really shit hot in making sure that talents don't hurt themselves and don't overwork themselves. Like, Faith Connect management is regularly on Rie's case, making sure she doesn't work too much. Because Rie's the kind of person where if you leave her alone for too long, Rie's the kind of person where she would do a 5-hour-long singing concert whilst she just had vocal cord surgery, right? So Faith Connect keeps a close eye on Ria and prevents her from hurting herself too much, and they force her to take breaks even though she doesn't want to. So yeah, Faith Connect management isn't like Niji Sanji's management. They don't see the talents as something to just milk dry until they're all used up. They do want to create a sustainable business model where the talents will be with them in the long term, because that will make them lots of motherfucking money. The problem is, right, is that when you burn your talents out, or you let your talents burn themselves out, the problem is that they stop streaming, and then they stop making you lots of motherfucking money, and then they leave, and then that becomes awkward because now you've got no one buying, you've got no merch to sell anymore. So you always want to, take proper care of the talents, make sure they don't burn themselves out, so you can make lots of money and that they're happy, and they want to stay in the VTuber organization and they don't want to leave and go independent. I don't know the Pippa she marks it herself as. I get the feeling our personalities will actually clash, but I still love her work. And Mimi wants to build something she finds cool. Yeah, exactly. That's always the cool thing about VTubing, right? It's silly, isn't it? Is that VTubers can, I guess, kind of be inspiring figures to us over the most dumb, basic as shit, right? So like I've said before, I find Lumi quite an inspirational figure in a sense, because Lumi's the kind of person. Lumi struggled to get a viewership for a very long time, and she struggled to get recognized as a content creator. And obviously, naturally, as she's been my Kamiyoshi since I first saw her a month after she debuted. Obviously, I'm biased, and I'm gonna think my Kamiyoshi is severely underrated. But Lumi's always streamed 7 days a week. She's an artist. She's a doodler artist, right? She's a V singer. She streams 7 days a week. She's got a big wide variety of skills. And she always, she always pumped out loads of content and always did it with a smile and with positivity for 3 years until she got noticed and became really popular. About a year and a couple months ago is when she started getting really popular. And I always find that kind of inspirational because it's relatable to me. And the reason why it's relatable to me is because I'm also the kind of person where I'm a very hard worker, but people I tend to find, I wouldn't say for good reason, but people always get the first impression of me. That people's first impression of me often is that I'm mediocre, or that I'm shit, or that I won't survive a couple weeks in a new environment, right? And then what I always do is in the end I always prove them wrong and show that actually I am pretty good. Actually, I just need some time maybe to get there. So it's always funny, isn't it, how that works with VTubers? I guess that's probably one of the biggest attractions to what makes someone a Kamiyoshi. Maybe is that that kind of connection, right? That kind of I guess that relatability factor. At least it is for me, right? A Kamiyoshi has to be someone who I find I guess quite relatable in their personal journey as a content creator. It's why I'd say Tenma is my second favorite content creator ever at the moment, right? Tenma, I fucking love Tenma, but even though I love Tenma, she's not one of my Oshis, because it's Tenma has always had her shit together so well. I'm not really invested in Tenma's journey as a content creator or as a person, because she's just been so well put together all this time. I tend to Oshi people who've gone through some kind of struggle, I guess, probably because it kind of psychologically relates to my own struggles to get, I guess, recognized as as a talent in my career, in my profession, right? That's kind of how it works for me. Yeah, it's cool to see Lumi breach 100k. It's not, obviously, YouTube isn't her main platform, but yeah, Lumi at one point, yeah, I was watching Lumi when she was a 2view, lucky to break basically half the size of me is when I started watching Lumi. And now it's you look at Lumi and she gets about 2,000 people watching her these days. Almost 1,000 across both platforms, almost 2,000 across both platforms, which is great to see. It's good to see that finally. It's good to see your Kamiyoshi finally get noticed after 3 years of grinding, right? Your vision sounds beautiful. Thank you, Hobo in Mexico. Hot take: Golden Age of VTubing will be complete destruction of every corpo. Graph, that's a really good point, Graph. You're probably right. I would have said a couple months ago, I would have said that HoloLive was never going to die, and that if VTuber corporations were going to die out, HoloLive would be the last one standing, and that HoloLive would never disappear. And now, a couple months later, HoloLive is in the situation it's in currently, and it's oh shit, fucking hell, Faith Connect might outlive HoloLive, maybe even. Well, not HoloLive Japan, maybe HoloLive Japan, but HoloLive EN even at this rate. Soon it will just be the fish man, the last man standing. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. I don't think Lumi will ever admit it, but considering how well she gets along with the other Faith members, she probably appreciates us in the same way. Lumi's more like a dad anyway. Yeah, I think it was in Lumi's, not this year's birthday stream, but last year's birthday stream. I'm pretty sure Lumi had, I vaguely recall Lumi going on like a very heartwarming moment where she said she was very grateful to Sakana and the Faith girls for giving her a new home where she could, I guess, like feel like she belonged somewhere and had a community who supported her for who she is. So yeah, I would definitely say that Lumi is someone who, you know, genuinely really appreciates, I guess, the environment she's in and the people who have stuck by her and supported her throughout it. She definitely does like her colleagues. I definitely agree with that one, which is why, again, I don't buy the narrative from VT that she's this like actual secret mega bitch. Maybe has a bit of an ego, maybe has a bit of a catty side to her. I don't believe for 1 second though that Lumi's actually like a bad person. I don't believe it. Farm your tubers responsibly, yeah. Panko said she's possessive of Ringos and does feel a bit jealous if she sees us in other streams. Personally, I see you guys in the other streams. As I'm going through like the old VODs, I see some of you, those of you who are older Phase Connect fans, I see you in comment sections and chats from 2-3 years ago, right? And it always just amuses me personally. I love playing a game of like, where's Waldo with you guys, right? Like every time I'm going through like an old VOD and I'm like, as I'm like watching the VOD, I'm looking in the chat to see if I can spot any of you guys, right? I'm like, I wonder if I can find Lindsay here. I wonder if I'll see Graph here anywhere. I wonder if I'll see Crazy Cola. Right, I love playing that game. And I do recognize you guys when I see you. I recognize all of you. I remember all of you. As long as you don't regularly change your profile pictures, I remember all of you. Which is why I hate it when people change their PFPs. If you change your PFP, it makes it really hard to remember you. If you start making VTuber TV series, then corporates are going to dominate that because of their access to equipment and production personnel. Yeah, but here's the thing, not Mr. G, is that I'm expecting in the future 3D technology will become so cheap and available to people in their private domiciles that you'll be able to actually collaborate and produce that stuff as independents, right? You get a bunch of other independents together, you all go over someone's house, and that you can actually organize that stuff in the comfort of your own home. So I'm thinking that almost it's kind of like a Skynet effect, right? Where Doobie is, I guess, launching the prototype of, and I guess it's creating like it. I think Doobie as well is creating the business case for a more advanced 3D studios, and I think as more and more people like invest and develop more research into 3D studios, it will eventually lead to kind of like what happens with like the DVD, for example, right? Or like the micro disc. Eventually you'll be able to like have your own high fidelity, like super sophisticated 3D setups in like a cramped room. Even it'll be like really small and it'll have like a lot of capabilities. You'll be able to do so much shit with it. That's what my prediction for VTubing is. But at the same time, given the imminent collapse of Western civilization due to the globalists and the West and our fucking corrupt politicians, maybe human civilization will collapse before we're all able to basically create The Witcher but in 3D anime form in the comfort of our own homes. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping we'll see an age where cheaply and easily anyone can basically make a 3D show in their own fucking bedroom. Yeah, from Laserdisc into DVD, right? Exactly. Actual Glowy. Maulington spies on us confirmed. Hello, not the ATF. I fucking see you everywhere, not the ATF. I saw you in the goddamn... I remember seeing you in the goddamn stream where Pippa was trying to explain Waco, Texas to Irie. I always remember seeing your fucking PFP there. That was funny. At least, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw you there actually now, thinking about it. Actual Glowy. Lumi is a reserved person. I think she really appreciates people and her audience. She just grew up in that sort of distance mentality. Yeah, she said herself, she's actually an introvert in real life. That's her default personality. Right, which is crazy when you see how much she fucking yaps. But then here's the thing. I'm an introvert as well. When I'm at work, I don't say a goddamn thing to anyone unless people ask me a question. And yet here I am talking fucking nonsense for like 3 hours and 40 minutes, right? So it's easily enough done, I guess, given the right incentive. I've got into VTubing around 6 months ago, in large part thanks to you. Oh, that's awesome to hear. Thank you, Mackie. Yeah, that's I've shifted my target demographic. over the last year. See, originally when I started making these videos, my original intent was actually to just attract fence-sitting normies into VTubing. And the secondary, I guess, intent was to bring more attention to the Face Connect girls, because I thought they were severely underrated. And then as I made a couple videos, definitely by the time I made the Tenma video, my focus shifted from trying to attract normies to, like, fence-sitting normies to Face Connect. And I basically just went, okay, you know what? I'll just start making these videos for the sake of the fans, honestly. I'll just make, like, videos that basically validate what the fans love about the Roshis. I'm thinking about getting back into, I guess, kind of, again, targeting the actual, like, fence-sitting normie demographics again, maybe. Maybe I might do a different series that kind of targets that demographic. Because the reason why I've been doing Face Connect content as long as I am is it's long past the point of making I've long gone past the point of making videos that I really want to make myself. It's more of a case of I'm now making these videos just because I hope that the fans themselves like it, right? Like, I'm making it for the sake of the fans, not because I necessarily really want to do it. So in terms of videos, I definitely still want to really make. I want to make the Face Connect documentary. I want to make the Flavor documentary. And then after I've done those two, that's basic. Well, and the Kershaw documentary as well. And go. Okay. Face Connect, Flavor, Girl DM, Shiki, and Kershaw. Those 5 videos are the only videos left I really want to do. And then after that, I'll basically be continuing to make Face Connect content, but I'll be making Face Connect content for the sake of the fans, not because I necessarily want to as such. Does that make sense? Yeah, I've got a whole segment on the Face Connect documentary outlining what makes Dizzy such a great leader and manager, honestly. Like, VTuber Corp, like, talent managers should study Dizzy Dokuro and use her as an example as to what a good talent manager should be, alright? I'm glad you never see me in VODs, because I almost never... Yeah, I've never seen you, Time Wizard. I've never seen you in any VODs. I've never seen you before. Had the same PFP since middle school. Hell yeah. Time to change my PFP. No, don't change your PFP. I forget who you are. Well, it depends. If you've got a really iconic name, then I recognize you as well. Like PFP really helps remembering. Like, the PFP is more important than the name in remembering people. Real world celebrities are losing younger audiences to streamers and content creators. People love independent content rather than sanitized corpo stuff. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's why many of the smaller corpos have unfortunately gone bust. It's like, you watch some of these smaller corpos who have since died, you know, you watch their content. They are very talented, lovely ladies, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's like, well, again, it's like, I watch them and it's like, well, why would I watch you over any independent VTuber who does the same shit? Why would I watch you over a Hololive VTuber? Why would I watch you over a normal Twitch streamer? Right? The problem is that with corporate VTubing, particularly if they've got, like, some kind of, I guess, like a kind of cultural restriction enforcement model which doesn't let them say or do any yab shit, then the problem is, right, is that the whole thing that makes VTubers special over regular, like, Twitch streamers is the personality, right? It's about selling yourself as a person. That's what makes variety streamers interesting in the first place. If you're a variety content creator, then you become the entertainment, you become the focus, not what you're doing. And variety streaming has always been the most difficult and has always had the smallest audience share since the dawn of time. Since the dawn of time, it's always been seen that if you want to be a variety content creator, that's kind of something, that's kind of like your victory lap kind of thing. Like, you've been a specialist content creator or streamer who's, like, done, I don't know, you've been like you've been at the top of the World of Warcraft game for 5 years, and now you're sick of doing World of Warcraft. You know, you've made your money, you've built your fan base, you don't want to do WoW anymore, so now you become a variety streamer because you've had enough of it, right? And it becomes your victory lap, because when you stop becoming the WoW guy, your membership, like, your viewership drops to, like, 10% of what it was, because people only watched you because you were the WoW guy. And then with VTubing, yeah, it's like the same thing. It's really hard to sell yourself and to be consistently entertaining, because you are very consistently entertaining. You need something that you're good at that you can use as a crutch when you're not feeling it, or that you've got you just can't perform that day for whatever reason. It's impossible for 7 days a week, right, to be like full of energy, vigor, and to have a lot of interesting ideas and passion to share with the chat. And what I tend to find with a lot of the smaller VTuber corporations is that they're too filtered by management or their corporate culture to really let their personality shine. And then the issue is that they don't have any talents or skills or hobbies which are interesting enough to carry, their performance. So then they just end up forever stagnating at maybe like 50 to nearly 100 viewers, and then eventually they die because they take up obviously more money. It costs more money to run than they bring into the organization, right? I think that's unfortunately what happened with a lot of smaller VTubers. Kirsha Love, hell yeah, Kirsha Love. I love the spicy fox. Fucking Kirsha's laugh is incredible, by the way. Like, Kirsha's laugh is hilarious as well. I've got like loads of memes. I've like got loads of clips. Oh, actually, let me play some of them. I've got so many memes prepared involving Kirsha. I've like saved a bunch of like Kirsha sound bites for the sake of memes. Let me play you some. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Here's a meme. Here's a Kirsha meme for you.
You ruined my day, you dumb anime woman!
I fucking love it when Kirsha starts screaming. Like, this is going to be a meme in the Faith Connect documentary. So there's going to be a segment called The Faith Adjacent. And the meme is going to be the T-Rex chase from Jurassic Park 1. And the T-Rex is going to be Kirsha. So it's going to be the T-Rex with like a cutout of Kirsha's hair, basically. And instead of the T-Rex roaring, it's going to be like a soundbite of Kirsha screaming something. So right as the T-Rex comes out of the trees, it's going to be like, what? It's going to be Kirsha screaming, "What the fuck am I seeing?" And then like as the T-Rex chases the Jeep, Kirsha's going to be saying, "How could Fishman do this to me?" And then it's going to be like Kirsha laughing, right? Like the iconic Kirsha laugh as she's chasing the Jeep. And then like one of the passengers in the Jeep is going to be Mume, and it's going to be Mumi. And then like obviously as the T-Rex is roaring at the Jeep, again I'm going to replace the soundbite with Kirsha saying, "You ruined my day, you dumb anime woman," as in, right, like Mumi didn't hire Kirsha. And then it's going to show it's going to show like Laura Dern with like Mumi's hair, screaming in terror at the T-Rex, right? Like lots of shit like that I've got planned. That's going to take ages to edit. I'm probably going to spend more time editing memes than I am producing the rest of the video in the documentary. but can you imagine it, right? Like, hang on, I'll show you the clip. No, I can't. It won't make any. I guess it won't make any sense, right? But to tell you what I mean, it's this clip.
Anybody hear that? It's a.
I'm referring to this part in the Jurassic Park.
It's an impact tremor, is what it is.
Hang on.
I'm fairly alarmed here.
Right, so
come on,
Jeff Goldblum is going to be
Now,
Sakuna, right?
right
So I'm going to
now.
put Sakuna's face over Jeff Goldblum. Laura Dern here is going to be Mumi, and this guy here is going to be Dizzy. Kirsha comes out the trees. She's going to have the Kirsha hair, and then she's going to say, "What the fuck am I seeing?" And then as Kirsha's chasing them here, Kirsha's going to be laughing, right, doing the Kirsha laughing. And then here it's going to say like, "Foxes in the mirror are closer than they appear," right? You kind of see where I'm going with this, right? Foxes in mirror are closer than they appear. I love this movie as well. The first Jurassic Park movie is my favourite one. I really like Sam Neill. Sam Neill is one of my favourite actors. I really liked him in The Mouth of Madness. "You were a great meme smith. Can't wait for the final project." Oh, hang on a minute. I've got to show you another meme. I'm going to clean this meme up, but I'm going to reintroduce an old meme into the Face Connect video. If you guys remember this one. Hang on. Who remembers this one? Hang on, let me turn that off. Turn the music off. Boop, boop. And then let me take this off, media off, and VTuber off. Okay, who remembers this? Ooh. Make it a little bigger. I can. There we go. Who remembers this?
gonna kill my dogs. You have to sandpaper your balls.
I remember.
I'm going to redo that one. I'm going to clean it up a lot as well because I still didn't know how to use the tracking tool on DaVinci Resolve when I did that one. Ooh, that's my America slides. Yeah, so I'm going to redo that. I got that one again, and it's going to be Generation 1. It should be good fun. Anyway, I got to go to bed soon now. Actually, I got to go to fucking work tomorrow morning. I yapped nearly an hour longer than 2 hours longer than I intended to. I thought the stream would be about an hour. Fucking hell. I underestimate myself for how much I can talk fucking nonsense for hours on end. Anyway, let's see if there's anyone. Actually, who can we raid? Who's online? Is there a Face Connect girl online? There's Dizzy. There's me. It's Shiki, actually. Oh, fucking hell. There's a load of people streaming right now. God damn. So many people to stream. Anyway. Thank you very much for tuning in for tonight, guys. I had a lot of fun. My throat is sore as fuck now for talking for 4 hours. Thank you very much for being my captive audience and for keeping me thoroughly entertained throughout this week. My phone's about to die and run out of charge. And I will, I'm collaborating with Cara Malone of Flavor tomorrow. We're going to be playing some Mech Warrior 5 clans. And I've got the podcast with Joe this Saturday. So yeah, I'm going to, I guess, flip a fucking coin and see who I can raid. See who I'm going to raid. Maybe I'll raid Tenma. I don't know. Let's have a look. Obviously, you can feel free to fuck off and do whatever the hell you want, but I'm going to try to raid someone. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. I love you all very much, and good to see you. Good to see you as always, guys. Oh, fucking hell. How the fuck do I do this again? I always forget. Here we go. Redirect. No, I'm never going to remember how to do this goddamn thing. Okay, let's see. We're going to raid. We're going to raid Tenma. Let's raid Tenma. Okay, we're raiding me, Cham. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.